In the heart of Virginia, there's a stretch of pavement that has ingrained itself in American racing history. Built in 1957 with just a bulldozer and a plot of land, Virginia International Raceway has become an icon. Over the years since its reopening in 2000, it has hosted IMSA, the American Le Mans Series, NASCAR, SCCA, and Champ Car races. Legends have raced there, including Roger Penske, Mark Donohue, Richard Petty, Hurley Haywood, Dan Gurney, and more. Between turns 11 and 12 stood a defying feature, an old oak tree. This tree stood untouched, shading the south end of the course for decades. For some, oak tree became a symbol of VIR and a reminder of how road courses used to be built. They used to be built with the lay of the land, following each contour and moving around obstacles, not through them. Earth may have been moved, but not tarnished. Oak tree was a lasting memory of when tracks were not just built, they came to be, like the tree. Although oak tree no longer stands, nor does hog pen, turn 17, the corners both still bear the name of what used to exist. And the track stays unchanged the way it was meant to be, with the lay of the land, for the land. Maybe that's why Paul Newman called it heaven on earth.
Virginia International Raceway is one of the great North American challenges. Its 3.27 miles of flowing asphalt have been here since 1957, when the track was originally built with a bulldozer and a big plot of land. Welcome to Virginia International Raceway. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian DeCuna and Greg Ginsberg for tonight's running of the Washington, D.C. Region SCCA iRacing League 78 minutes of VIR. And I believe, Finian, it's the first ever team event we've ever done on SimTV.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. And even though it's a team event, so there's going to be 2 drivers, maximum of 2 drivers per team. Despite that, we still got a lot of cars on the grid. I believe 30 entries, if I'm not mistaken, or around that number. So we got 60 drivers, over 60 drivers here, ready to tackle this course, and it's going to be a challenge as they go for 78 minutes.
Greg, welcome to SimTV once again. You were here a couple weeks ago for our Lime Rock Park 45-minute enduro. Welcome back to the booth here, VIR tonight.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for having me. I really appreciate it, and I'm surprised that you all would want me back after after Lime Rock, but definitely be good to be here at virtual VIR for, as you mentioned, the 78 minutes race here, which is 1.3 hours, and a bit of a takeoff on the Charge of the Headlight Brigade endurance race that used to be run by the North Carolina region and was so popular among Washington, D.C. region members as well, that Charge of the Headlight Brigade was a 13-hour enduro held in November each and every year up until, I believe, 2016. As a matter of fact, I checked with the regional executive at North Carolina region about an hour ago. 2016 was the last year that race was run at VIR.
So we're qualifying right now for the Global MX-5 category, and tonight, Finney, we have 2 classes. We have MX-5 and we have the Porsche Cayman GT4. So 2 of those classes going head-to-head here. 2 drivers apiece. You have to have 2 drivers in this event or you'll be disqualified. So you're going to have to make that driver swap around halfway, kind of around the pit stop as everyone's expecting, Finian, but this creates a totally different dynamic, and this event was created as kind of a pro-am race. No 2 drivers that were qualified as being top level were allowed to be together. So you got DJ Alessandrini is with Ido Waxman tonight, and there's a whole bunch of other drivers that are with teammates that they wouldn't typically align with, just to kind of even the playing field a little bit. So I'm expecting some really close, entertaining racing.
Yeah, that's always the thing about endurance racing, especially with teams like this. You can only do as good as you can by yourself, and then you have to hand over the reins of the car, whoever's next to take control of it, and then you got to just hope that they also do as well as you did, if not better, to the finish. So you got to kind of just sit on the sidelines, watch, and just hope that nothing bad goes wrong. And it's a helpless feeling, but it's also that's part of the fun too, is just being a part of a team effort to get that car to the finish.
Yeah, and obviously when we're running a 78-hour, not a 78-hour
race,
a long
race.
it would be a very long race. Yeah, I'll check back with you in 4 days, guys. But when you're running a race this long, certainly, it helps to be a cheerleader off on the side and watching and helping your teammate along the way. But you have to be prepared and ready to go once that driver brings the car down the pit lane, ready for you to jump in the car, whether or not there needs to be a change in tires or additional fuel added to the car. Obviously, the crew member is, or not the crew member, but the teammate most likely will be sitting there dialing that stuff in, waiting for the car to come down the pit lane, and then obviously he's got to be ready to go and have his game face on.
So qualifying underway. We got 15 minutes for the MX-5s, Finney. We're already about 7 minutes in, so about halfway through the qualifying so far. At the top of the board, it's the King Brothers Racing. Max King is in that car. And of course, on the timing and scoring, you're going to see the driver that's affiliated with the team on the timing and scoring. We'll bring you the team names whenever we can because some of them are kind of funny. We've obviously already showed Zach's Hitman Emporium. Ryan Maloney is just the Ryans. I'm sure he's got another Ryan on his team tonight. Ken Howe Seal, who I think is in Cayman tonight, or is he in the MX-5? He is. Trying to look down the order here and see. He was.
He's one of the Caymans tonight with Andrew Kessel.
Signed, House Sealed, Delivered is team name tonight in that blue and green Cayman. So good to see some humor out here. Charles Boley on track right now, the number 63 for NB Racing. Ironically, in ND tonight, Finney, as all the other MX-5s are.
Yep. And he's
with the Elliott in the morning livery there on the car. Noted radio show, morning radio show in Washington D.C. for many years. So don't know if Elliott Siegel is paying for that, but definitely a good homage to him there.
Some new drivers in the field as well, Greg. We've got Jonathan Murchison in the 44. There's a lot of new names that haven't run these events before and are kind of using this maybe to get their feet wet a little bit with the DC region SCCA iRacing League. And in a team format, this is kind of cool because you get to kind of lean on the experience of some of the drivers that have been here for a while. So Murchison's a new one here. Looking down the order, there's Jamison Huffman. That's another name. He's in the Cayman category. Chad Griffith, another new name. Scott Merker, and a whole bunch of other names in here, Greg. Some that are new, some that are not. But it's going to be a really entertaining 78-minute race as we continue to watch the MX-5s qualify.
Yeah, I would certainly expect things to get very interesting here throughout this time. And again, this will probably be a good opportunity as these teammates work together and can discuss things over the radio while one driver is out on track to perhaps work and tell your teammate where they might be able to clean up their lines a little bit, maybe some feedback for the next driver to let them know where maybe if the temperatures are changing and maybe the track conditions are getting a little bit more greasy at certain corners around this track, to be able to feed that along to the other drivers so that they're not really just driving blind when they get in the car to start their stint.
Ryan Maloney on the racetrack right now, heading up the hill towards Roller Coaster, Greg. And this racetrack, in the MX-5, it's basically 3 straightaways. You're flat all the way up the hill, you're flat all the way down the back straightaway, and flat all the way across the front straightaway. But it's really just the final sector, the first sector, in the middle, the part of the middle sector where you got to lean on the brakes a little bit and kind of get the shifting right. But the corner, Oak Tree corner, the exit of that turn is so important to make speed around here in a car with this little horsepower.
Absolutely, it is absolutely critical to get a good jump out of the Oak Tree corner. Now, of course, the version of VIR that we're seeing and we're racing at today is from before the fall of the iconic Oak Tree, and there's a picture of it right there as it stood for many years here at Virginia International Raceway. And you don't get good vision out of that corner, but it is critically important that you have a slow entry, that you're able to carry speed through, and more importantly, you don't pop over the curb there at the apex, and you don't overdrive the corner, because it is with that very long back straight, and a back straight that's far longer than the front straight here at VIR, in order to reach terminal velocity as you head up the hill. And you can see the rise on the back straight here now. It is, like you mentioned, in just absolutely critical that you get a good jump out of there. I think we were talking last week for another race. I liken it very much to turn 7 at Road Atlanta, where you have to get a good dig out of the corner and really motor your way down in order to one, if you want to keep in the draft, but is a great opportunity there to make up ground on other cars if they don't get a good run out of Oak Tree.
Right up through the middle sector right now with Tony Chow here, fanning the 243 Zoolander MX-5 Challenge car right now as he heads through South Bend towards Oak Tree Corners we were just talking about. Greg likened it to turn 7 at Road Atlanta. This is a critical corner as we talked about, but the entry is also pretty challenging because you kind of have to be turning while you're braking, at least in some little bit. So we might see some of the Caymans especially struggle to bleed off speed down there.
Yeah, I was going to say the MX-5 is relatively easy by comparison. The GT4s, it's pretty hard to get that thing to brake while also turning at the same time. I was struggling at the Redenza Sports Car Challenge. I had to get into the brakes really hard. I went flying off the track because I was on full brakes. So these guys got to be very careful down there because they, with the ABS that the GT4s have, if you get on the brakes too hard, you're going to lose a lot of that turning ability and you're going to go flying off into the tire barriers, the huge set of tire barriers at the end of that straight.
Yeah, you have an advantage as you come up and set up there, that as you come out of the sweeping left-hander called South Bend and make your way over towards Oak Tree, that there is a compression with a rise there, and there you can see it right there, that quick jump up, and that will help you get the car slowed down. But as you can see, and as most of the drivers are taking that entrance, those are actually 2 turns there leading into Oak Tree, and you have to kind of determine what line you take there. A lot of drivers are not going to squeeze the apex at the first corner there, but you have to know when to stop feeding in brake and start feeding in throttle as you get out of there. And there's also a huge tendency to run off a little bit wide driver's left through the very thin dirt line on the exit of Oak Tree.
Down through roller coaster goes Brian McCrea. This is another new driver, I believe, actually just managed to get in here before the event started. So is here tonight, and I'm sure he's got it all practiced up. Saw him in a practice session earlier. Comes across the line this time through. Best lap so far by an MX-5 is a 2:10.4 by the King Brothers Racing Max King. That was a 2:13.8. That was not an improvement. His best lap was a 2:12.7. He's currently 8th in class. We have just about 14 MX-5s here and just shy of 20. We might actually have exactly 20.
I think we have exactly 20 GT4 cars, yeah. Now, a little, we were talking about the pro-am aspect of this, and one of the big surprises here, of course, we've had Max King in that King Brothers Racing car, the number 39 car that we have on screen right now. I think he has been taking the entire qualifying session, but both he and his younger brother Jake have done very well for themselves in another SCCA series in the Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Esports Super Tour that just last week they finished almost side by side. I think just a couple thousandths of a second separated them, and they finished in the top 5 in the MX-5 race. Again, if there's a team to watch right now, this is the one that I would be watching for. Yeah,
I agree with this a lot because, again, the Pro-Am category, having a pro driver and an Am driver, so to speak, there's no real, qualification to be one or the other. It's basically just done, you had to get an approval before, and basically it was a general consensus of, is this going to be a good pairing that's going to be fair? Well, the King brothers are going to be really, really good, as you mentioned, Greg. There's a lot of drivers in here right now that are teamed up with pretty good drivers, and a lot of the AMs are qualifying right now because the general consensus is that you want your AM to start the race, Finney. You want the pro to be at the end when it counts, when you're battling to the end. You want to have the pro driver in the seat. But I do know that some of the teams, like the one that Tom O'Gorman is driving, the Team Valvoline, I think that their idea was to actually have their AM finish the race once all the chaos and carnage is out of the way, have the pro driver get put into that. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, well, I think going off of my experience, a few team events I've done, usually with you as a co-driver, I never like to start the race. I just don't think I'm good. I don't think I'm aggressive enough at the start. So I think, in some cases, definitely helps to put a pro driver, one that can be more aggressive on the start, gain those positions, and get to the front.
And you see that right here, Tom O'Gorman going out on track to qualify, Greg. So the pro driver for this group is going to go out and qualify the car. Your thoughts on putting the pro in first and having the AM driver finish?
Well, I can certainly see the advantage here. You would possibly want the pro driver to go out for qualifying to have that car start as far up in the field as possible, and possibly stay away from that carnage when the race starts. If you indeed put the the AM driver in the car for the start of the race, and so I can definitely see the strategy in that, rather than necessarily making the AM basically keep the position, and that might put a little extra stress and strain on them if the pro driver goes out and sets blazing laps for the first half of the race or so, that the amateur has to then basically live up to that standard. So I can kind of see the strategy here.
And it looks like Ken Ausiel's also doing the same thing. He's out on track in his signed Ausiel delivered team car. Looks like Ryan Kristoff is out qualifying as well. Evan Schickel is on track in his number 33. Robert Porter, Sam Scott, Baumgartner, Ido Waxman. He's the driver that's teamed up with DJ Alessandrini. And I'm really curious about this pairing here, Finian.
Yeah, I'm really looking for it. Really, the pairings I'm interested in is really with DJ Alessandrini, Ken Ausiel, Paul Darling, and Tom O'Gorman. I think those are probably going to be, out of the 4 cars I'm definitely going to be watching in this GT4 field. All of them have different co-drivers. They're all in separate teams. Obviously, you expect those guys are really talented. So, interested in seeing how those driver pairings, how their co-driver is really going to come in and change up the order of what they're going to run. And also, I wanted to point out, too, I saw someone in a Corvette paint scheme, and I saw it was posted on Reddit. Someone made a C8 Corvette paint scheme. I don't know who it is.
I did see that.
Yeah. Someone was driving it in here.
Oh, in here?
Yeah.
We're just now.
Just no. Someone came, unless it was, yeah, there it is.
PMF Motorsports. That's Dave Fitzgerald's team. He's teamed up with William Teller. So this is sacrilegious. And honestly, this should be an instant disqualification. But of course, I'm not calling the shots here tonight. But man, that's wrong.
Yeah, it's wrong. Looks really good, but it's really wrong.
Actually looks pretty. Actually looks pretty good.
Well, that's why it's wrong. If it didn't fit, at least it wouldn't fool you.
Yeah.
I think this just tells me how similar a Cayman and a Corvette C8 really
I mean, they threw the engine in the back, so yeah.
I guess. I mean, they're basically the same car now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very little difference whatsoever.
So as they get on track to qualify here, there's William Teller working his way down towards turn 11 and Oak Tree. We got a couple cars that have already laid down times. We'll pull up the vertical timing and scoring out of the classes and kind of organize here just a little bit. So PMF Motorsports is out on track. Chew Big Red with Sam Scott is right in front of the PMF Motorsports guys. And Sam Scott's another driver we've seen for quite a long time here on Sim TV. And I don't know who he's teamed up with. Do we have that information? Sam Scott in the number 37 car. Try to see.
Let's see if we can.
A lot of these were sort of informal.
Charlie Abel.
Yep, Charlie Abel. So that's one I'm not really sure about. I don't know these drivers well enough to kind of gauge where they're going to run, but we're going to see how Sam Scott qualifies. He's currently 7th in class, Greg.
Yeah, currently Lapras's team. Actually, they say that it's now. Oh, no, okay, they're all coming.
They're all changing.
Yeah, they're just constantly as guys are getting their first good flying laps in.
So about 11 minutes left in qualifying. Lee Caymans will have the rest of the time. And I think we're getting a really good look in the background there of how fast this front straightaway is, Greg. You really get to terminal velocity here, just as you do on the back straight, but then you head down into turn 1, and that is a very challenging corner. You see a couple cars going wide right there.
Yeah, as you can see here, the profiling, it is a little bit downhill. The track in real life can get very, very slick under braking there. And if you get it wrong, you do like these cars do, and you make a run almost all the way down to the Dan River, which is just off the track there. Actually, looks like the driver got a little help from the number 12 car there. And as he now continues on his way, and it looks like a little change in position there, maybe turnabout's fair play as they make their way around here. But yeah, going into turn 1 with the speeds that you carry, it is certainly a turn that can unsettle a car, and you do need to, once you get the car turned in, you really want to be able to get that car all the way down to the inside. Certainly, and this is going to be a challenge, I think, for our AMs if they go out for the start. You typically don't want to get pushed very wide at turns 1 and 2 because the track, besides there being a bump right in the middle of the track there, it gets very, very slick on the outside that the track just never has a lot of rubber on it, and it's very easy to just basically be driven off right into the dirt.
So, Cars head on the back straightaway here. 10 minutes left. The fastest lap right now by Ken House Seal in the 156s. 156.520 is his best time. That's about 3/10 better than Thomas Layton, his number 17 TT Racing car. Who's he teamed up with? It's going to be Talas Sadiq, so that's going to be a really strong pairing, these two. They've got really good time down so far there, Greg.
Yeah, and it's very early in the session right now, but they definitely have already put down some very good laps. We are starting to see some changes here. Looks like Chew Big Red, the number 37 car, that's Sam Scott behind the wheel right now. He has just moved his team up to 4th position in class, and that's also overall. And I think we're going to see, obviously, with the horsepower difference here, that the Caymans, for the most part, are probably going to be qualifying ahead of the MX-5 Cup cars tonight.
I enjoy the Talladega Nights reference here on the 37, so
yes.
He's currently, Sam Scott, 5th in qualifying right now. Layton goes quickest with a 155.5. Signed, House Seal delivered with Ken House Seal in the car. 10th back from that, Christopher Lapras and team ZFG. They're currently 3rd with a 156.502. Another thing we have to worry about here, Finian, is the cold tires on these Caymans. A lot of drivers have discovered that turning off traction control actually helps these cars a little bit in terms of the drivability on the opening couple laps. But I think it's going to be super important to get your tires warm on the pace lap that you have, because we've seen cold tire incidents in the Caymans really be a big problem in the past couple weeks.
And you're going to want to get these cars, as you're saying, you want to get them prepared. You do have the pace lap to work with, to start swerving and start braking really hard, just to get some heat. Some sort of heat. It might not be a whole lot, but it definitely will help every little bit, especially heading down to turn 1. These first few corners are going to be battling for positions. Obviously, it's a long race, but you want to try to make up some spots and have some drivability in the cars. It's definitely important to get those tires warmed up as quickly as possible.
All right, looks like Team Valvoline in the number 194 car. That's Tom O'Gorman behind the wheel. He's just now moved up to 4th fastest, just behind the Autocrossers Anonymous team, piloted right now by Evan Schickel, who's currently sitting 3rd. So that's your provisional 2nd row here for tonight's race.
Evan Schickel in the 33 car teamed up with who here, Finian? We'll see what we've got going on. It looks like he'll be with Mark Lebanth, another team that I think could solidly run inside the top 5, and right now they're sitting 4th in qualifying. So again, I'm not really sure who they're considering their pro, who's considering their am, but we're going to find out real quick once we get rolling here. But looks like Sam Scott's going to drop down to 11th as PMF Motorsports goes to P10. PG13 Racing with Chris Baumgartner goes up to 9th, and Ryan Christoph, the team No Bucks Left, goes up to 7th in that very vibrant liveried 46 car.
And notably, the car in the 61, or car 61, currently in 5th place. No megaphones needed. Ida Waxman, who's teaming with DJ Alessandrini, they're currently sitting in 5th. So really good mix of drivers up in the front. Really looking forward to see how this race plays out. A lot of big names towards the front of the field. And also the gap's pretty close together for the most part.
Yeah, again, looking down, I mean, we've got about 10 drivers within 2 seconds. We've got 5 drivers within 1 second, or just about, and you see Tom O'Gorman go to 4th best in the Team Valvoline car. He jumps up with a 156.029. So, by the way, pole sitter, we never really covered this. Pole sitter for the MX-5 category will be Max King in the King Brothers Racing 39. Then Tony Chow in the 243. He'll roll off 2nd. Ruben and Ryan Maloney will be 3rd and 4th. Alex Lekowitz and Ryan Davies will be 5th and 6th. We'll roll through the rest of the starting order when the race lines up, but about 6 minutes left in qualifying for the Caymans at this time.
All right, I'm looking for a couple of the Mid-Atlantic Road Racing Series regulars that are obviously taking to iRacing here with no action at Summit Point Raceway or at Virginia International Raceway for that matter. One of the drivers I was telling you about, or one of the teams I was telling you about, and I believe they may have just moved up a little bit. That is, I believe, the French Connection. They're currently running 9th. That is the number 69 car, currently helmed by Greg Obadia. Both Obadia and Francois Breu have a lot of time in at VIR here. Matter of fact, Obadia was the 2014 overall winner of the Charge of the Headlight Brigade 13-hour race at Virginia International Raceway, driving for the Elgin Racing team in a Ford Mustang. He's also noted Spec Racer Ford Gen 3 driver and spent quite a bit of time in the Mid-Atlantic Road Racing Series driving both SSM and Spec Miata as well. So we're taking a look at him now as he comes through Oak Tree in that 69 car.
Nice Martini livery on that car as well, Finney. And looking down to the rest of the order, Glyn Lithirboff in the Mini Bike Motorcycle Club car is 13th. Shake and Bake Racing with Robert Porter, they're back in 14th. Rum Bum Racing with Colin Daner in the 17th spot in the number 3. They've been having some internet issues off and on, you see right there.
Yeah.
So curious to see if they'll last through the race tonight. It's a 78-minute event, so about 1 1/3 hours. It's a long time to be trusting internet. That's sketchy. There's Nicholas Bluff,
sketchy, yeah.
in the 211 car. Drive fast, take chances. Your thoughts on that, Greg? Take chances, opening lap, or are you going to be a little bit careful? It's kind of a long race.
It's a long race, and I wouldn't be the one. I wouldn't want to be the one who is responsible for just basically throwing the race away, even for my teammate, right off the bat here. I think as we've seen many endurance races nowadays with these types of cars, they're run more or less like a sprint race from beginning to end. But I think you're going to see some pretty careful driving here, at least at the start.
Well, Ken Ausiel has been just chipping away at the lead here, but he has not been able to get quite by Thomas Layton's 154.952, which is a really impressive time considering how good Ken Ausiel has gotten at this Cayman platform, Finney.
Yeah, and the gap too, 15 thousandths of a second separating first and second, is really extraordinary how close that gap is. So if Ken can find really a few thousandths here and there, he will be able to take pole, but that's easier said than done.
Yeah, and you saw as he pulled over and let a number of cars go by when he came out of turn 3. So obviously this lap is going to be a throwaway for him, as I think that's Colin Daner possibly that just went off backwards. We'll have to check the number there.
It was actually Nicholas Brough.
Yeah, okay, it's Brough in the 211 car. But going back to Ausiel, so he's going to complete this lap to start his next flying lap. But we had a number of these GT4 Caymans all in very, very tight quarters with really not a lot of room for Ausiel to put in a flying lap without running up on some traffic. So I think what he's tried to do is give himself a little bit of running space here as he makes his way down the roller coaster. And I suspect he'll try to put in a flying lap this next time by.
Catching some traffic here right at the end of the lap. This is going to hurt his run onto the front straightaway here, but maybe this car will pull on over and make it a little bit easier.
Well, that's actually late.
And he does. Yeah, good timing.
Oh, that was a 17 that was ahead of him, I think, Thomas Layton.
It might have been Thomas Layton, so he'll pull into pit lane. Ausiel comes across the line to begin a flying lap. Let's actually just ride on board here for a little bit and get an idea of what this is like. Whoa!
That is typically not what it's like.
Well, that was, I think that was the French Connection cars, Greg Obadia down there.
That was Greg Obadia.
Interesting line.
That was a little distracting, I'm sure, for Ken Ausiel, but we're still right on board the gyro cam here to get an idea of how bumpy this is, especially over the curbs here, leading up to Snake, turns 4 and 5, Greg. Pretty bouncy and bumpy over those big, tall curbs. They've been kind of extended in recent years, and there's some more curbing out there now, but you see Ken fighting the wheel as he bounces over.
Yeah, and a car as stiff as this Cayman, it's not going to enjoy those curbs one bit. As you mentioned, in recent years at Virginia International Raceway, they have in some places gone, and it's primarily where you see a lot of the dirt runoff behind the curbing, where they've just simply paved additional little aprons to widen the track out there. And of course, people are using that because it's there and it's pavement, whereas before they were using it like right here where it was dirt. So it really doesn't matter what the surface is. It's just a lot faster now that it's pavement.
And Ausiel might get one more lap and one more run. He's got about 52 seconds to get back to the line.
Yeah.
And if he gets there, he'll get one more flyer. But it's going to be she should be able to get there, no problem there, Finian.
And you're coming through a roller coaster.
Sector time so far, 45.1, Sector 1 at 41.8, Sector 2. When it all comes down to the final sector, it's going to come down to probably a couple thousandths of a second if I had to guess. He might just go quicker. This is a very solid, clean lap so far. He's going to head through Hogpen, a little slidey, but he gets it tucked down to the apex in 17 and across the line. Ken Ausiel, will it be better than a 154.9? Here he comes to the line. No, it's not going to be. 155.7, he'll go for one more.
Yeah, amazing what happens when you have a car go flying, flying ahead of you at like 60 miles an hour. All right, so yeah, this is now going to be the final lap for Ken Houseel. And it doesn't seem to have that much traffic up ahead of him. The one car that was very close, I think, had gone flying into the grass on the exit of turn 1 there, and opened up a lot of ground for Houseel. So we'll see if he can better that fast lap of a 154.952, currently owned by Thomas Layton and the TT Racing team.
Tom O'Gorman's on for another hot lap as well, so we're going to keep an eye. He's just up the road from Ken Houseel. Good run onto the straight, maybe a little bit late to accelerate, but we saw Houseel with a 45-ish second first sector, and then sector 2, I believe, was a little quicker than that, so we're about to find out what Tomo's going to run here as he comes across the sector line. I believe is right at the top of the hill here. That, or he dropped the wheel off, and let's see. Down the hill, still no sector 2 time.
This might have been validated. He should have definitely crossed the sector by now. So
yeah, it looks like Ken Houseel has pulled it off. He's going to give up on that time. So in the meantime, we got about 1 minute and 53 seconds left here, Finney. And let's roll through while we wait for the rest of the drivers to finish their hot laps. Let's roll through a look at the track map here, Finney. And so Virginia International Raceway, 3.27 miles. That all starts with that long right-hand kinking front straightaway that we talked about earlier, Finney. And then it's down into turns 1 and 2. Kind of a double apex right-hander in a NASCAR bend, turn 3.
Yeah, and I think the section after turn 3, turns 4, 5, and 6, especially snake, the section called a snake, I think that's where we're potentially going to see a lot of accidents and incidents occur in on lap 1, and then after that section, once you get past Snake, you head to the S's, and that's also going to be a pretty troublesome spot, especially in cold tires in both classes. These guys trying to navigate. Then they head through turn 10, the South Bend, up into Oak Tree, turn 11.
Yeah, turn 11 and turn 12, the kind of a right-hand kink into a hairpin. That's Oak Tree, very important corner that sets you up for the long back straightaway up to Roller Coaster. A great passing zone, but it gets tight. Then you make a right-hand corner down into 15 and 16, a couple left-handers. Then turn 17 is Hog Pen. That's the final corner on the racetrack, and that is the lap here at Virginia International Raceway. This place is fast, it's fun, but it's also extremely narrow, but it lends itself well to these endurance races just because it's a longer track. You get some space to spread out, Greg. It's a good facility.
Oh, absolutely it is. I mean, again, Paul Newman called this place heaven on earth, and not just the facility itself, but obviously once you're on track, with 3.27 miles, there is plenty of room to make room for yourself here.
In just a moment, we're going to get gridded up and we'll take a look at our weather, but for the time being, the timing and scoring is going to show you that Thomas Layton will be sitting on pole unless Tom O'Gorman can knock out a flyer in the next 5 seconds, but I don't think that's likely. Let's find out where he is. Coming down the hill, he's going to be a couple seconds short of putting down another lap, but it'll be Layton, Houseel, O'Gorman, and Obadia, the front 2 rows here from Virginia International Raceway for tonight's DC Region SCCA iRacing League, 78 minutes of VIR. So in a moment, we'll head down to the racetrack. But here first, a look at our weather this afternoon, Finney. And how about the 78 degrees ambient, 104 on the surface? That's a little bit toasty out there.
Oh, just changed.
Oh, 82. Never mind. Well, scratch everything I just said.
Somebody apparently had the thermometer sitting in a cup of coffee.
Well, a little jump the gun there a little bit. It's about 6 in the morning here at Virginia International Raceway, so a little bit early.
Oh, wow.
Early enough that the neighbors will be a little bit upset. But the wonderful thing about this facility, Greg, is that there's basically, I don't really want to call them, I guess they're condos over there along the S's, and I don't think you'd buy one of those unless you like the sound of race cars.
Well, absolutely, and those are on the Virginia International Raceway facility. They are either a lot of them are for purchase, but Virginia International Raceway also rents a number of them out for race weekends as well. So you can wake up to the sound and the vision of race cars, depending on how early or how late you wake up. But a lot of lodging right at the facility there. Besides the villas that are up right along the uphill S's, there are a number of apartments that are sitting right over top of the pit lane as well. And there's a hotel sitting right on the outside of turn 5, just as you enter Snake.
I didn't even notice that one.
Just now.
Vinny just pointed that out. I want to be on screen. So let's head down to the racetrack here, and we'll go through our starting lineup And Finney, I think you and I will take care of this. So in just a moment, here's a look at our field. It's going to be just about 35 cars strong. Now let's roll through the starting lineup. On the front row tonight, Thomas Layton in the 17 and Ken Halseal in the 23. They'll roll off on the front row.
And moving back to third, we find Tom O'Gorman. Next to him is going to be Grill Obadia in the 69.
And row number 3, Lex Kuracek in the 183. Ido Waxman in the 61. He'll roll off with DJ Alessandrini as his co-driver.
Back in 7th, Sang Yi is going to be lining up in the 155. Next to him, Sam Scott in the 37.
And row number 5, Ryan Christoph's number 46, rolls off alongside Evan Schickel in the 33.
Back in 11, the William Teller in the 91 next to Shaun Nugent in the 136.
And row number 7, Chris Baumgartner in the 27, Khalil Natirboff in the number 19, 14.
Back in 15, the Frank Verzi in 15th and 16th.
Chad Griffith in the 16th spot. Colin Daner.
Easy for you to say.
And Ty Deep in the next row. And then we have our first MX-5 driver, Max King, will roll off in the lead there. Then Tony Chow will roll off in second. Zach Rubin in third. Car off in the dirt already with the cold tires. And interesting to note, you see how the inside lane here, Finian, is now the even number of drivers. This happens because of the way that iRacing grids cars up. If there's an odd number of lead cars in the lead class, then you're going to get a really weird distribution. You're going to get the pole sitter starting on the left. Now, they might arrange to swap lanes, which I think you'd want to do at VIR, but just a note for those that are wondering why the lanes have switched up. So, a couple of drivers finishing out the rest of the order. We'll head through the S's here in just a moment and turn them loose at the end of this formation lap. And Greg, 78 minutes. This race will be about 41 laps. Tell me about the keys to this race. What are we looking out for, and how do you win one of these team events?
All right. Well, I think the first thing that we mentioned is to keep your nose clean to start off, and it looks as though a lot of the teams, they are starting off with the pro drivers, and so first off, the pro drivers certainly don't want to get into any incidents which will put the AMs at more of a disadvantage. But I think much like you would see with a shorter sprint race or with just a single driver event here, is you want to be able to open up as huge a gap as you can, maybe have one car or two cars pull along with you to work the draft a little bit and start to move away from traffic, again, to make it easier for when you pass things off to your amateur teammates. And again, both teammates will have the ability to talk to one another while the race is ongoing, so that again, with the pros starting off, they can feed notes and tips to the AMs, one while they're already while the pros are still in the car, to let them know what they're seeing and what they're feeling, but then when they switch things off as well. So I think communication between the teammates is going to be key as well.
So we're going to turn them loose here at the end of this lap, and it's going to be 78 minutes as we described. You can see the time where the one to green is at the moment, and the field is coming up the long back straightaway. The next time will be coming through here. The Caymans will be doing north of 140 to 145 miles an hour. The MX-5s just clipping out at about 120, 125 in the draft. Again, this is the MX-5's just got an update to the new Gen 2 variation of the Global MX-5 Cup car. A little bit higher rev limit, a little bit more horsepower, and it helps a whole lot going up the hills. Now down in the roller coaster, we're all double filed and ready to go racing at Virginia International Raceway for the Washington, D.C. region SCCA iRacing League, down through turn 16 and into Hogpen, the final corner. We'll let them go racing here tonight. Thanks for joining us on a Friday night. If you enjoy watching, make sure you subscribe to SimTV, and also if you're on the DC Region SCCA Facebook page, make sure you like to follow the action as we get back to normal schedules and normal racing in the coming weeks and months. Onto the front straightaway. Right. Here we go, Greg.
Yeah, they're making their way down the front straight, and looks like we already have the pace car now down on the pit lane, and the green flag is in the air. And moving out to the front is our pole sitter. And we'll have to see as they come down now into turn number 1, under braking.
Oh, there's a car real late on the brakes into turn 1. It's a yellow and black car. I think we got through it okay without a whole lot of issues. I think we got through it there, Finney. And so far, so good for the Caymans. They've wheeled off there on the inside. I believe that was for Ryan Christoph. Now back to the MX-5s, because it's a very, very slow start here as they can rolling up to speed with 1 hour and 17 on the clock, Finian.
Yeah, and finally now they start to accelerate, so the MX-5 field is green heading down into turn 1. Interesting seeing how this field, we saw the GT4s had a fairly clean start. Most of these guys getting pretty sorted out as they're all racing down towards turn 1.
Yeah, and very interesting that they were taking the, coming down so slow down the front straight as they now funnel into turn 1. It was my understanding that they were going to be pretty much free to race once they came onto the front straight, once they came out of Hog Pen. But pole sitter kept them there with a nice slow pace. It also has the advantage of keeping them really separated out from those Caymans as they make their way down through NASCAR and over to left hook.
Oak tree for the Caymans so far, so good at the front of the field. And Layton continues to lead, but Tom O'Gorman has put himself into second place around Ken House-Seal. Behind him, there is Ito Waxman and the No Megaphones Needed team. The 61 car side by side with Lex Kurachek's Team ZFG car. That's the 183.
And that blue machine side by side down into roller coaster for the first time for this field. There's still side by side back there. Looks like the 61 car is going to get cleared for 5th. Oh, and some contact.
Yeah, they come around, and yeah, and it looks like going around. It looks like a bit of a contact there between the number 61 and the 32 of Sam Scott, the big, the Chew Big Red car going around.
183 is Lex Kurachek that has gone around into roller coaster down there. Head back up to the MX-5 field. King Brothers Racing with Max King leading the way. It's a 4-car breakaway. 5th place, it's off track is 6th place. Ryan Davies got off at the exit of Oak Tree. That's going to be a very, very costly mistake. Back up at the front of the field, though, for the Caymans. Here comes Tom O'Gorman in the 194 right to the tailpipes of Thomas Layton as they head through to start lap number 2.
Team Valvoline, that 194 all over the back of the 17, now making their way through. It's a 3-car breakaway in the Porsche class.
Layton feeling the pressure from Tomo right now in the Team Valvoline car. Ken House-Seal's 4/10 back from that. And this is really a surprise. I mean, I don't think we've seen a lot of Layton at least battling with these guys as we got a car turned around. It looks like it's Ryan Christoph in the 46 machine, or if there was some contact here. As Ryan Davies hits pit lane, maybe some damage for him in the MX-5 category. Here's a look. Oh, is Ito Waxman coming back on track? Was there contact here?
Yeah, I'm wondering if there was contact between those two drivers as they came around through turn 3.
There was, but the spin happened long after that, so it might have just unsettled Ryan's car. Still on cold tires, but he goes around into the wall back in 17th place for the time being.
As he makes his way now through South Bend and making his way down towards Oak Tree. Looks like he's got the car back under control. Doesn't seem as though there was a ton of damage there, even though he did impact the Armco coming out of Snake, as he now makes his way back onto the back straight here, with sitting right ahead of him.
Ito Waxman
is Kurchak, I guess, right ahead of him.
You know, looking at Ito Waxman trying to make up some spots. He lost some on the initial start of the race, fell back a few spots in that 61 machine. Now looking at Kalir and Akirov in 19 and 7th.
You're about feeling the pressure now as they come through the final corner onto the front straightaway, and up the inside goes Waxman. And again, this is a driver that we need to watch out for, just because when we get DJ Alessandrini in this car, it's going to be a fast one. And the farther up that Ito Waxman can get, the less work that Alessandrini has to do. And you want to have DJ Alessandrini have a lot of work if you want to be able to beat him tonight. So
yeah, exactly. You want Waxman as far back in the field as you can keep him before Alessandrini gets into the car. So let's jump back up now to the front of the field in Global MX-5 Cup, and we have Max King in the red number 39 car, but coming up right beside him, driver's left, Tony Chow in the Zoolander machine. Not quite far enough up with Max King to affect the pass there at 14 at the top of the roller coaster as they work their way down the hill now for the, I guess, for the second lap.
Yeah, and they almost made contact. I was surprised that they didn't between Tony Chow and Max King. Now looking at the 76 car currently sitting back in third. Lekowitz, sorry, in the 676. Trying to chase him back down to the MX-5 field, getting a little bit separated, but still it's his top 4.
Yeah, I'm actually blown away at how big of a gap they have. It's 9 seconds back to the 5th place car, Brian McCrea in the 29. I'm not sure what happened, if anything, but those top 4 have immediately separated themselves from everybody else. So back up to Payments, and it's really a 3-car breakaway here. Layton, O'Gorman, and House-Seal. TT Racing, Team Valvoline, and signed, House-Sealed, and delivered.
massive separation between third and fourth in this class as well. It's the French Connection, the 69. Obadia sitting back and forth. He's trying to chase these guys on down. He's got a decent gap to the guys in behind him for the rest of the GT4 field.
Again, this is a long race, so I think no one's panicking yet, but you see these massive gaps forming, especially in the MX-5 category, and you have to wonder what these drivers are thinking. It looks like Evan Schickel's gone around.
This is on the track, I think, third sector.
It looks like we're down towards turn 15 and 16 here.
Yeah, I would say that's actually coming down the roller coaster, I believe.
And it's closing on the MX-5. I believe that was Charles Foley, 63, and just locked up the brakes on cold tires, and he went around. So he'll be able to get back rolling, now down in 17th spot. They're for the lead in Cayman's. Here comes Tom O'Gorman up the inside. Not really a great passing zone, but it forced Leighton to drive in deep, and now Tom will set him up for the S's here.
Yeah, it was actually a very, very good move by Tom. Got Leighton off his line coming through left hook and then into Snake, and it might have thrown his speed off just a little bit as they make their way now to the uphill S's. Although it doesn't look like as things start to play out now, it helped O'Gorman all that much, but perhaps Lucille now sitting back in fourth position, or probably in third position, was maybe the main beneficiary there if he can keep up the pace as they come now up towards Oak Tree and onto the back straight.
Look up the inside on corner exit where Tom wasn't able to get the power to the ground to do it, but they're going to have a run down the back straight here, and in the slipstream, this is going to be a good opportunity for him to slip on by. But maybe there's some fuel saving you can do, but I think Tom wants to get on by. He's got a look here.
He's not saving anything. He got a great run out of Oak Tree down the straightaway. That's only going to help, especially with the draft side by side as they head down to roller coaster deep on the brakes. Who's going to be braver?
It's like Tomo will be, and he'll be able to cut in, and he misses the apex just a little bit, stacks up Leighton, and looks like Seal's going to tuck in right in third and stay where he was. So those guys have kind of reorganized themselves deep in the field. How about third in MX-5, Lekowitz and Zach Rubens, Zach's Hitman Emporium car in fourth category right now. Here they go into turn 3, NASCAR battle.
Something happened here because they're 5.5 seconds behind the MX-5.
Sorry.
Yeah, you can see a lot of damage there on the 76 car as he came through NASCAR and in the left hook, both on the left front corner and also the right rear as well. Trying to look to see if there's similar damage on Ruben's car. I don't quite see it.
That was a 216-1. Let's go back and try to see if we can find what caused this here. And I think there was definitely some contact. At what point in the lap, we're not yet sure. We're going to try to find out. It was certainly before the end of last lap. I'm guessing it was actually earlier in the first half of the lap.
Yeah, it might have been even prior to that.
Yeah, I think it's right here. So this is actually in the lower S's. Maybe Ruben takes a look up the inside here as they head up the hill.
Yeah, let's take a look as they now set up to head into the S's.
Maybe they're going to bang doors here. Right here, it's going to tighten up right there.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you can see the 76 car all the way driver's right. There was absolutely nowhere for him to go. And Ruben was actually the only place he could go was right into Ruben's door.
There's Max King, and the King Brothers Racing car started first, continues to lead. Tony Chow started this race in second. He stays in second, so no changes up here. Back in Cayman's, though, look at this, working through some lap traffic already. And these top three are right on top of each other, Finian, and I don't think it's going to get any different. Here comes Leighton up driver's right as they head to roller coaster.
Yeah, this is the same where they headed to roller coaster last time with O'Gorman on the left and Leighton on the right. It looks like Leighton's going to yield yet again. Ooh, how Seal look like he's going to go up the outside as they catch MX-5 traffic. This is probably the worst section of track to catch them in as they're trying to just navigate their way on through.
Here they come down the hill. There's a car wide in the dirt. Can he save it?
This might be trouble.
Oh, man, he keeps it on track. That was the 72 car of Matthew Jones. He did a great job of staying on course, or getting back on course safely, rather, given all that going on. But now we're 8 minutes left, and the top three Caymans make it through the tail end of the MX-5 field.
Yeah, I was very surprised there. I thought he was going to end up sliding right across Hogpen and right into our Cayman leaders there. Managed to hold the car on line though as he got back onto the pavement. So great driving there. All right, so we've now got the lead once again in Global MX-5 Cup with Max King in the King Brothers Racing car and Tony Chow in the Zoolander Challenge car as they make their way up. And you can see they really have now separated themselves out out from Ruben and Lekowitz after they had their little getting together in the S's a few laps ago. Now, we were also talking towards the start of this race in MX5 how our top 4 had really separated themselves out from 5th position and back to Brian McCree and those following. And I think McCree is actually the very first of the drivers that are listed as the amateurs or the AMs in Global MX5 Cup there in the number 29 car. So I think that might have a little bit to do with the difference in pace, and we may see that rear end of the field start to close things down a little bit as we go through driver changes.
Well, we've got a couple minutes under our belt here, 12 minutes in, and here is Neil Waxman working through some traffic.
Currently in 5th in the class.
Started 6th up to 5th after a little bit of contact with Ryan Kristoff. Kristoff has recovered back to 13th. He originally dropped back to 17th as we got Cayman lead again. I'm just so amazed at Thomas Layton's performance. I didn't really know much about Thomas before this night started, and here he is battling with the 2 drivers that typically lead with these races. Tom O'Gorman gets held up by the 76 car here on the outside. Ooh, that's a sketchy place to drop a wheel there.
Wow. Two wheels in the dirt there on exit and managed to hold on to it, but Husil gets a great run because of the modified line that Layton had to take there coming out of Hog Pen, and we'll have to see under braking air. Looks like Husil's maybe just a little bit too far back to attempt to pass there.
Yeah, now looking at Ken Husil riding in behind Layton. I was also looking at Grego Badia in behind the 69. The last lap prior, he actually gained some time on these guys back, and I think as he's caught this MX5 traffic or is working on them last lap, he's lost some time. So he's just he's still very much in the race. He's only 5 seconds behind.
Looks like Layton had some issues. I'm sorry, Finney. Looks like Layton had some issues coming out of turn 3, out of the NASCAR bend, and Husil now moves up into 2nd position. Let's take a look at it here.
Yeah, just already loose into the corner, drove in a little bit too hot, and did a really good job once he got the right rear tire on the curb to kind of hang on to it and keep from wrecking into Ken. But he'll just drop a spot and continue battling. No harm, no foul, but he did lose some time. And so did Husil for Tom O'Gorman. He leads now by 1.6 seconds, getting through traffic very, very efficiently. And he just got through our MX5 leaders who continue to battle. And Greg, I'm not thinking we're going to see these guys go back and forth a lot. They're doing what MX5s do and just kind of hanging out, drafting with each other and pulling away. A massive lead on 3rd, Alexander Lekowitz. He's back 12 seconds now almost.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think there's any real reason for them to battle it out. They'll just have to wait until they swap drivers.
Zach Rubin in the number 7 car. He has gone off. Was there contact here with Greg Obadia? This is into South Bend. Obadia was off on the inside. It just comes back on track and absolutely obliterates the left front of Zach Rubin's car and sent him for a ride out into the island there. That's going to be the end of the night, potentially, for the number 7 car. That's painful.
Yeah, that's a bad way to go, and especially if Rubin's co-driver doesn't get a chance to get in that car, that's really going to be a disappointment for the evening.
There's Evan Schickel and Ryan Kristoff. This is for 12th in class as they head up to Roller Coaster Fan.
Yeah, and now here they come deep into the brakes between these guys. It's looking like a 3-way battle between them. It's Schickel, Kristoff, and Griffith right behind the 12, the white 12 machine. They're all digging it out for 12th place.
Kristoff again started up in 9th. Chad Griffith started 16th. Slowly climbing his way forward up into 14th place now. And how about a battle for, looks like 8th place, maybe 7th? Yeah, there goes Chris Baumgartner around Glyn Latirboff.
Let's see if Latirboff can get underneath coming through 2. Nope, doesn't look as though he was in position to do that, so he's going to drop back 1 position as they make their way through NASCAR.
And now for 4th place. Greg Obadia's got Ito Waxman all over the tailpipes, and he's stuck behind the MX5 leaders. And there is an expectation that you treat other classes with respect, especially if it's for position. And look, there goes Tony Chow through to the lead there, Finney.
Yeah, I will say I'm curious if he picked up any damage from that contact we had with Zach Rubin. It was a pretty hard hit between both cars. And I'm curious if that might be slowing down the 69's pace because Waxman caught him up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I wonder, I mean, there's a bit of a scratch on the right side, but these cars are kind of tanks when they take side impact. So I think that car is okay. I think it was just all the time that he lost kind of sliding around in the grass that hurt him the most. But he is now under attack from Waxman. Waxman's been running really quick laps. His best lap is 0.8 quicker than Obadius.
You can see Obadia already getting very defensive here, already taking the inside line as they come down the back straight here and set up over at turn 13. So he's able to hold Waxman off for the moment, but looks like Waxman isn't done yet. We'll see if Obadia kind of forces the issue as they head up to 14.
Kind of got slammed, nowhere really for Waxman to go. Back for 7th place, Baumgartner and Natirmov continue their fight down the hill, now stuck in behind 2nd place Max King in GMX5. But tighten up here. Natirmov thought about it, thought better.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. He's trying to make an opportunity out of this to make a move. But can't get it done. He's got to sit on through and behind the 27 as they navigate the MX5 traffic.
Busy out there, Greg. It's like afternoon traffic, rush hour out here.
Very well, there isn't a ton of afternoon traffic in Danville, I might add. But maybe our DC drivers liken it to the Washington Beltway, which I understand now. I'm talking to one of my good friends from the DC region, Carolyn Bayer-Brewing, one of the H production Volkswagen drivers there, that she can very easily make it to work now going 80 miles an hour on the Washington Beltway during the day, which is about 8 to 10 times faster than you can normally do it during the day there, so good on her. All right, so it looks like O'Gorman really starting to cement that lead right now.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that he's actually starting to lose some time to House-Heel. House-Heel just ran his best lap of the day so far. That was a 1:55.227, and that's a full second quicker than Tomo's best lap. So we're going to have a Cayman battle here, not too far away, Finian.
Yeah, and I think for Layden in the GT Racing Machine in the 17 car, I think he's going to be hoping these guys start the battle because he's sitting 2.4 seconds in behind these guys. So I think he's hoping that they start the battle so he can try to get back into that fight.
So as far back as he's dropped off, do you think he really, and we saw how he had that massive oversteer coming through 3 just a few laps ago. Do you think he might have started to run off the tires in that car, just trying to stay up with O'Gorman at the beginning of the race?
It could be, but I hope for his sake that he didn't, because 18 minutes in to burn the tires off that quick, you really got to do something wrong. So I'm hoping for Layton that he didn't burn the tires off, because he's still got to go a long way to finish up this stint. Looks like Colin Daner's had issues, but he's got so many problems with his internet, I'm not going to bother clicking on him. But for the lead in MX5, as they got some Caymans going on by, that looks like at least one of those cars is Evan Schickel. And the other one is Nugent in the 146 as they head down the hill. I don't know how you say that name, but maybe, Greg, you have experience.
It's Nguyen.
Nguyen, okay. Oh. There you go. You're the
from my time working at the World Bank, I can tell you that is pronounced Nguyen.
That's why they pay you the big bucks.
That's right.
Back up to the lead. House-Heel has found Tom O'Gorman. We're going to battle up the hill now.
We're flashing the lights for the MX-5s that they're closing in on really quickly here. This is going to get interesting.
Oh, he's going to move over. I think that was Charles Boley.
Yep.
Boley.
Tires sliding. They're beating these things into submission now as they head down the hill towards Oak Tree again, tracking out the edge of South Bend. I always found South Bend one of the more challenging corners on the racetrack because it's a blind press and there's very little runoff out there. You drop a wheel, it's game over. You head all the way down to this big pit of grass you see on the top of your screen. That's an island of ice in terms of grip level.
It's a long way to go until you get back to pavement, and if it's anything other than dry, and if it has been anything other than dry for the past week or so, it can be a hell of a challenge to get back out onto the track.
Ken House-Heel following in behind O'Gorman, trying to make his way on through the section. I'm curious if Ken's just going to kind of sit behind O'Gorman, maybe force him to make a mistake, or maybe try to make a pass here, because I wouldn't say there's a whole reason to push this hard and to get past him.
So here's the thing, right? If this is a normal DC Region SCCA iRacing League race, I would think that these guys would hang out and just kind of run together. The reason I think they're not going to do that is because they're paired with drivers tonight, Vinny. If you could read me off who they're paired with. Tom O'Gorman's with Dennis Barrett, and Ken House-Heel, I believe, is listed with Andrew Kessel. So I don't know anything about those two drivers, and I'm not sure that they have a very good gauge on their co-drivers' pace. So I think if they want to win this race as a team, they have to be selfish right now because they don't know what their co-driver is going to run pace-wise, and they'd rather have the lead and give it up than have to chase down the lead car.
Now, I do know that the DC region had run a practice session earlier in the week where these teammates could work in the session together, work on the pit stops, work on the driving. So there was probably a little bit of coaching that went on, but I still don't think it was a long enough period for them to really get an idea. So yeah, absolutely, both Hausiel and O'Gorman, I think at this point want to be able to, not at this point, since they've really started to separate themselves out from third place runner Leighton, really now try to open up as big a gap as they can to one another as well, basically to put their teammate in as an advantageous position as possible.
Well, they're trying to get by the warping and Harry Pottering Colin Daner. I think there's some witchcraft and wizardry going on over there. That car has some sort of invisibility spell that's working half as good as it should be. They work through the 24 car. That's Michael Punsalan in the 24. That's back in 10th in class in GMX5. We're going to step away from this battle just for a little bit to show you the lead in GMX5 again. It's still Tony Chow and Max King. But how about for 5th places, Murchison and looks like Jeff Jacobs. And Jacobs tonight, Greg, in an MX5, typically runs in the bigger, heavier cars. Tonight in something a little bit more point and shoot.
Yeah, and he's handling it quite well. He's handling the balance very well, and looks like a very good battle that's going on there right now with the number 44 car of Murchison, and probably between the 44 car and the 38 car, and really holding in there. Looks like they might be speed limited there by the Cayman that's right ahead of them, but we'll have to see how this race continues to play out as they get deeper into the race.
Elsewhere in the field, how about 7th? This fight between Baumgartner and Atirbov has sort of fizzled a little bit deeper. Ryan Kristoff now catching the Shake and Bake Racing number 136, and we're going to have this fight heading down into turn 1. Let's ride on board here, get an idea of the high speeds that we're seeing. North of 145 miles an hour here, Fenny. You got to get these cars stopped pretty quick. They have ABS, but and you're going to lead on it quite a bit in these cars.
Yeah, you can see them already deep on the brakes for both these guys. We saw Brew earlier Obadia, his teammate.
Obadia.
Yeah, when they were coming through the section of track, he had to get hard into the brakes. He ended up going off the track because he wasn't able to turn the car enough. You'll see saying he had an off-track excursion. That 155 machine is going to drop back to 13th.
Here comes Kristoff up the inside here, Greg, as they head to the snake. And the lower S's are really a single file racing line through here, so we're going to see what Kristoff does with it.
Yeah, as they come through 5 now, it is definitely single file right here, but you can definitely catch a bit of a draft and depending on the pace, be able to move around cars. Good passing area, but with the MX-5 car there hanging out on driver's right, definitely not going to be able to do it this time. And it looks like Kristoff maybe backed off a little bit to try and make a run coming out of South Bend, and you can see here the extra ground that he does make up as he rolls down the hill, and they start to go under braking here to get ready for Oak Tree.
Lining up the exit.
Yeah, and pretty shocking as I've been watching Ryan's lines both here through Oak Tree and setting up for that, but also going down into turn 1 when we were tracking them before. Very, very different lines than Nguyen in the 136 car. I'd say a much tighter line, and doesn't need to use up as much pavement. But the downside to that is he's probably putting a little more load on the tires.
Cars on track there that are very damaged. That is the Red MX-5 that's a little slower than race pace. I'm noticing a lot of issues fitting with internet connectivity for a bunch of drivers towards the middle of the field.
Yeah, I don't know. Even our MX-5 leaders have been looking on the timing scheme and flashing in and out. We know the Rum Bum Racing guys, they've been having internet connection issues since the drop of the green flag. So, fortunately for some guys, it's been a little bit worse, but so far I don't think we've had any drops.
No, I don't think so. And Alexander Lekowitz was dropped for a moment, but he is back. Looks like Tony Chow is side by side for the lead here in GMX5, heading down into Roller Coaster. These guys have not laid a fender on each other yet, but they might right there. Chow gets a little bit wide into the dirt, drops the wheel off down the hill. That's a terrifying place to go wide.
Yeah, that is definitely not the place to be caught out to driver's right, and Max King played it right. He gave Chow as much pavement as he needed, but it's very tight there. It's very difficult to make that left-hand turn to set up for Hog Pen and not run off track as Chow did.
Tom O'Gorman continues to lead this race. We're about 53 minutes away from the conclusion of this event. Halcyon closes in big time as they close up on a lap car that's going to run a little bit wide in corner exit. It's the 211, the Drive Fast Take Chances car. We come on through. Now we're going to start talking about strategy here a little bit, Finian. When's the best time to switch over? I think you want your pro driver to run as long as possible, but there is a fair share required for this race. So you're going to have to run, at least somewhat equal times. When's the best strategy? You come in early and get out of traffic, or is that a concern, or are you just trying to put your best driver in and keep him in for as long as possible?
I think it's going to be a matter of just keeping that best driver in for as long as you're aligned with the time that you're given. Obviously with the fair share, one driver can only be in for so long. So I think you're going to want to get that pro in for as long as you can without going over it. If you step over your bounds with that, you're going to get an automatic penalty. So you got to be careful with that system and don't push it too far.
Back up watching the MX-5 leaders crest. Wow, look at the slide in Max King as you come over South Bend. The car gets light, then you compress to turn 11 and turn 12, which is Oak Tree as they head on through now. And these guys have been in a league of their own. How much of a league of their own? They're 23 seconds ahead of third place Lekowitz, and that is just incredible. It's
pretty much already said and done, really. I think for the lead in that class, at least. I mean, the rest of the field still got to duke it about a 23-second lead. That's going to be very hard to overcome in 15 minutes.
All right, and I was just checking about the fair share. Essentially, each driver, you're certainly not going to have each driver drive only 40%, but you can only have a driver in for a maximum of 60% of the race, which would be just shy of 47 minutes. We're nowhere near that point yet, but as you mentioned, I think the strategy would be to keep the pro drivers in for as long as possible, and I would suspect that whoever, at least with that battle for the GT4 cars, whichever driver is in the lead, the second car, if he's that close, is going to probably drop into the pits maybe one lap or 2 laps later if he can.
Cars battling Frank Taverzi and Ryan Kristoff. This is for 10th in class, and really impressed with Ryan Kristoff's recovery from that spin earlier in this race. And here he goes, trying to work his way back inside the top 10 for the first time tonight.
Yeah, he's been making a lot of forward progress, so interested seeing how much more he can continue this side by side now with the 13 as the race down the straightaway into roller coaster. You see that driver on the left typically be the one that wins the battle, and indeed in this case it's going to be Kristoff that does. Whoa, we got a car off.
Yeah, that is Baumgartner.
Yeah.
Baumgartner, yeah.
And let's see if he's going to pull right back on track right in front of this group.
At a very bad time. Yeah, right as that battle with Kristoff is coming down the hill.
Go back and see what caused him to go off. A lot of times you just see, oh, this was definitely contact here. It was the 19 of Kalin Tierboff that was right next to him as they come down into corner. Oh man, that was just a big miscalculation there. They both went sailing off course.
Got the braking all wrong, yeah.
On board with Tierboff.
Yeah, and you could just see that gap just disappear in the blink of an eye as Tierboff just center punched him.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if we can get a better idea of if there was an attempt to slow or if it was just an entire miscalculation. It was already on the brakes. I think just slipped right there, had the car turned to the left, and that was what caused the contact there. So.
Ooh, Gorman.
I wouldn't trust that with how the.
I don't know.
Right. Oh no, he's back.
Oh, okay.
I told you don't trust it tonight. It's being very finicky with the connectivity for these drivers.
That was pretty long though. I was like surprised. I thought he didn't maybe have it off or something. But.
Yeah, again, I'm not convinced that this is on the driver's end. It could be on the server's end within iRacing, so I'm not going to say that it's on the drivers. But I know Colin Nader's got problems. I think that's been clear. But for everybody else, the timing and scoring is kind of all over the place. So we're just trying.
Although interesting, every time Daner goes and flashes the headlights on the car, he stays on track.
that logic makes sense. That's the Harry Potter button.
Exactly.
Here's 13th place in class. That's Chad Griffith and Lex Kuracek in behind as they work by the 38 car of Jeff Jacobs and the Team Street Survival.org car. And the 183 missing the hood there.
Yeah, missing the hood. Not that there's anything there to fly out.
Hamburger leads his race by about a second over Ken Halcyon. And I'm a little bit surprised Ken hasn't gone by. Both these guys are pretty equal on pace, but Ken was catching Tom so quickly. I'm just wondering, maybe they are working together here.
Yeah, could be. I think just, bring their own gap, expand that to Leighton, and Leighton's dropped back in. I thought he was going to stay within 5 seconds about with our leaders, but he's dropped now 9, almost 10 seconds back from these guys. So these guys really stretching that gap out quite a bit.
Who's Leighton paired with tonight?
He is paired with...
Oh, there goes Tom of the race leader. He's off at South Bend. Goes way off course. And just like that, that is a big hill to climb for his co-driver in a little bit. And it was a slight miscalculation. And off the track he goes. Wow. A big slide. Let's go back and take a look. He was climbing the S's here, Finian, and just the slightest of touches in the dirt, around he went.
It was fine through here, I think. Around here is where
right there. Touch the grass on driver's right, and you just go for a wild slide. And Tom's going to be upset with himself because I've heard him say before that he's never done this in the real world. He's never dropped the tire off on corner entry.
Oh,
right
just
there.
a little bit. Yeah,
That's all it takes.
Just a little bit, and that was enough to send the car around. Tom Layton's partner is Tala Sadiq.
Ah, that's right. So again, I'm curious about that pairing and how Tala's going to stack up. I really do think that the TT Racing car is going to be maybe the car to beat in the second half of this race here. So we'll keep an eye on it. And checking back in with the MX-5s, they're still battling as they have been.
Yeah, not a big change there between Chow and Max King as they make their way down the roller coaster.
This is Murchison and Jeff Jacobs. This is for 5th in the GMX-5 class.
Guys kind of sitting about, trying to do the math here, it's actually quite a bit away. I think almost 50 seconds behind the MX-5 leaders.
See if anybody's already switched out drivers, and I don't think so. All the cars that have come to pit lane so far have just been for tires or potentially tires and fuel, or crash repair, which is probably more likely.
Yeah, I would say likely for crash repair more than anything else.
All right, so we'll head back up. So now Hal Seal has an 8.5 second lead, and Hal Seal again was paired with Andrew Kessel. So, again, that's a driver that I'm not as familiar with in iRacing as a lot of these other drivers. So there's a big question mark up in the air of what the pace of the second driver is going to look like compared to the rest of the field. Now working on some lead lap traffic here for us. I'm getting into the middle of the race here, and we're just about halfway. Getting there.
We're also, I think, beginning to approach that crossover point where you can switch drivers and it'll be legal as far as time's concerned. So we might start seeing, especially the guys that might have started with an AM driver in the seat, they might potentially come down to pit road now and switch out.
So now we have to wonder. I mean, it's 26 seconds between Ido Waxman and Ken Ausil. Greg, do you think that DJ is worth 26 seconds compared to the driver that Ken's paired with, that'd be Andrew Kessel? I mean, that's a lot to ask out of DJ.
It's a lot to ask for a driver to make that back. I would, at this point, I would be looking to see and maybe give it another couple of laps to see if Waxman is making up any ground on Husil. If he's not making up any ground, I'd just bring them in and make the pit as quickly as you can from a time standpoint to make sure that you're compliant with the rules, and just put Alessandrini in there and let him start making up as much as he can make up.
So one thing that we need to mention is that we were just told that Thomas Layton will actually not be paired with Thomas Leake tonight. It'll actually be Sly Stafford. Said he couldn't make it this evening. So that's going to change the play out of this race a little bit. Actually, a lot bit, I think. It's going to change how this all rolls. So, Ausil continues to lead GT4 by 10.6 seconds. Checking back in with GMX5, Tony Chow is putting up the fight with Max King in the King Brothers racing car. Who's Chow paired with this evening?
Chow is paired with
Kevin Zhu. That's right. It's in the team. I just looked at the graphic here. So Kevin Zhu versus Jake King is going to be an interesting pairing there. Greg, I think we know Jake King's pace. I think Kevin Zhu compared to Jake King can be a little bit more of a question mark. As you see, Max King really getting all the rear tire out of it that he can.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously Jake is, and assuming the fix, and here we go through the S's, assuming that the fix to Jake's hardware managed to hold. If you remember last weekend, the esports Super Tour, Jake actually snapped the brake pedal off of his rig during one of the qualifying sessions that he and his father had to jury rig stuff back together. I'm sure everything is in good shape now, but knowing that the pace between the two King brothers is really not all that far apart. If anything, Jake might be the faster driver out here. Yeah, again, I think that's something to look for, and we'll have to see if Azu is able to keep up that kind of pace. I just don't know if he can.
So for just a moment, I'm going to try something here because I think I know what might be going on. So bear with us for about 1 second here. I'm just going to try to switch over a setting and see if that makes any difference. I wonder, because there's so many drivers in the server, Finny, and if this is potentially related to the car limit, which I only have 34 in the race. So I wonder if I switch this, if it'll stabilize. Maybe it will. Again, that iRacing glitch that got me at a couple weeks ago in the Redenzo Sports Car Challenge. They never solved that glitch, but I have a feeling that this was related to that. Alrighty, it seems like it's stabilized. That might have been the problem. The timing and scoring will be at least a little bit more reliable, at least. No, maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I fixed it for a second.
Try again.
It's not really that distracting, but now we have DJ Alessandrini climbing in the No Megaphones Needed car in pit lane for Ido Waxman with 41 minutes to go. It's going to be an interesting thing to see where he comes out and how much time he has to make up to the leader, which will be Ken Halseal's teammate Andrew Kessel. Here he goes.
Got a long ways to go to get back to the front. I am interested in seeing how this battle is going to play out. Speaking of a battle, looking at second in class for the GT4s, Gorman's caught back up to late, and now this battle is going to resume for second place.
As they come into 13, O'Gorman moves over driver's left, as you would expect, and looks like he makes his way clear of Leighton and puts himself back up into second as he rolls down the roller coaster.
And recovering from his big slide off at South Bend. And
as you can see there, he's right at the top of the pylon. He's still about 12 seconds clear.
Continues to make the time. So Chad Griffith came in pit lane, but did not switch drivers, I don't think. So I think his car the entire time.
And the 93 car with Marcus Pine in there, and I think that might be a driver change.
Could be one pit stop just recently, and I have to imagine I wasn't paying attention to that car earlier. I don't know who was in it before.
I would imagine that it's a driver change. You might as well if you're going to make a trip on the pit road now, at least explore the race.
Yeah, actually, and I think I've picked that up in the timing and scoring here. Yeah, it looks like the 93 car has made a change. This is in the Global MX-5 group. It appears as though the 24 car, the Ryans, it looks like Ryan Maloney is now your driver. He's been in for about 2 minutes. Stakehold Racing, the number 72 car, Daniel Gross is now behind the wheel as well. And he just got around Team Jonathan Murchison. And guess what? Jonathan Murchison is your driver.
Wouldn't have guessed that. Ryan Kristoff hits pit lane. We'll see if he swaps out. This is the Team No Bucks left car. Don Manning just jumped in. So the 46 car will be turned over to Manning, and in comes the 155. And I'm going to guess that's going to be Paul Darling jumping in this car.
Yep.
Yes, it is. So Paul Darling gets in 11th place as DJ Alessandrini is heading down the hill. He's already gone. We're about to work by these cars. Like he already has, actually.
Yes, he jumps in 10th place, and he is showing as only being about a second behind Frank DeBerzi in the number 13 car, who is still out on his, the first driver out for Team Radino Racing.
Gets through the S's now on lap number 21 and 41. So we basically just crossed the halfway point here, Finian. So now you have to expect a lot more drivers to hit pit lane. Max King, Tony Chow really keeping an eye on the MX-5 leaders to see when they come down. Look at them wheeling it over the crest of South Bend. And there is Alessandrini working on through in his number 61.
Just going to get on by there. It looked like King was, well, actually King catches some grass that pulls him through the corner. But Chow not able to capitalize on that.
So 38 minutes remaining in this race, and at some point, we still have all of our top 9 that have to hit pit road, as well as William Teller in 11th. He's got to turn the wheel over to Dave Fitzgerald for the number 91 car. And we have not seen this car yet, and the racing gods are not looking kindly upon me today because this car has not crashed out yet. So I'm joking, but we'll see when Dave Fitzgerald climbs in.
Oh, you just jinxed it.
Yeah. Well, Dave will probably run out of fuel
flying
anyway.
off
So
at the top of the roller coaster. Yeah.
Dave gets upset with me when I joke because I ran an endurance race with him here, not here, but at Daytona last year. And he ran the car out of gas 3 times in one race, which was really impressive. And I haven't let him live it down. And every time
I haven't either. I made probably like on 5 different occasions.
It's a touchy subject.
Yeah, it's so funny.
And it continues on to this day, apparently.
Sure does. I hope he doesn't watch this deep into the broadcast when he watches it later. There's
There you
Nicholas
go.
Brough for the 211 car. He just went off down at over in roller coaster.
Yeah, it looked like he had some problems up at turn 14, up at the top of the roller coaster, as Ken Husil now brings the car down the pit lane, and he is going to be making, we would presume, the driver change over to Andrew Kessel here in just a moment.
And you can see there's O'Gorman in that white and blue machine going to cross on by. He's going to stay out potentially another lap or 2. As we see switch over to Andrew Kessel now for a sign how sealed and delivered. 23 car.
Jumped in that car, so the top 2 are still on the racetrack. Tom O'Gorman, Thomas Layton, 5 seconds between them. And Thomas still really killing it lap times wise, just ran about 400ths off of his best time of the race, so he's still making time and trying to get back whatever he can.
Yeah, I think he gets potentially another lap or 2 without being too close to the time limit, so we might see him just go all the way in that case.
Leaders in MX-5 still have not made the trip on down. He continued to run. And you have to look a long ways back to find Jeff Jacobs and Andrew Chow, who has just hit pit lane to turn over the wheel, presumably to it'll be Kevin. No, it'll be Andrew Chow. Who was in this car before?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Nope. I think. Oh, Brian McCree, of course.
McCree.
McCree. So he's in and out in just a moment here. As we take a look down through the rest of the field, looks like Lex Kuracek is in the blue Team ZFG car.
Or struggled quite a bit.
Well, it might be somewhat aero challenged without the front hood.
Had some trouble pulling to stall.
They just solved, so they got their free reset, and next driver will be climbing in. It'll be Christopher Lapras, another car we should really keep an eye on, because we know how quick Lapras can be in a car like this. They're in and out here in just a moment. William Teller just went off as he came into pit lane. No, he's going to stay out.
Well, no, stays out.
I would have just come in pit lane at
that point.
Yeah, might as well already slow down a bit, but he'll continue out.
Alec Motorworks, I believe, has just come on down recently. 3 laps ago, they switched on over to Dubois indeed.
Ooh, Layton in the TT racing machine, he's come on down, so Sly Stafford going to get into that car.
Rest in the Pennzoil pit box right there. On drivers over to Sly Stafford. That leaves Tom O'Gorman still out on track, still running laps, and this is going to be really important for when we kind of get everybody cycled on through. Why? Because Tom's still out there running quick laps as the pro driver. If we got a car spun around in the background, I'm trying to see what car that was. It was one of the MX-5s, I believe. It was the Stay Cold Racing car, Daniel Ross 72. And Charlie Abel climbs in the Chew Big Red 37. Work our way towards the last half hour of this event within the next 5 or 6 minutes.
He's going to have to come on down this time. If he goes another lap, it's going to be cutting it pretty close, because with the 40%, you're going to need to give the other guy at least 31 minutes in the car, so yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to go
he's got to come in, and I think we'll see that this time. As long as he's paying attention and knew the rule coming in, which you better hope you know.
I was going to say, you definitely have to hope so. I think it was this year in the 24 they were talking about. I think this one team was close. They were talking about you have to also account for the time you spend on pit lane as well.
On pit lane.
As far as minimum driver time.
That's a good thing to mention. You see the MX-5 leaders battling right in front of him. This is the perfect time to come on down. And we'll see him hit the pit limiter here in just a moment, potentially, and come on in.
So here's the interesting thing, the way O'Gorman's going to stay out. So here's the interesting piece, though, is in going through the regulations for tonight's race. It's not based on time. Okay, so break out your calculators and start multiplying 3.27 because the way it is written, it says co-drivers are expected to complete at least 40% of the race distance.
Oh, okay, so that changes things a little bit.
Yeah. Actually, it might make things a little bit more difficult because you would suspect that the drivers the AM drivers may not be running the same pace as the pros, and so the distance they complete would be less. But we'll have to see if the stewards read the rules like I am.
This is Don Manning, the Team No Bucks left car, spinning at the bottom. Like that is over by Hogpen. So
that's over at Hogpen, turn 17, coming onto the front straight.
Yeah, so I just did the math as far as the minimum distance.
Oh man, and I think that's a sign. Your math. Continue.
Yeah. No, so the minimum driver needs to complete at least 16.4 laps. Now, obviously, you're not going to do 0.4 lap. You're going to complete that lap, so move it up to 17 laps. So yeah, I think he would be good, but I think he's going to have to come on down. I think this time by.
Yeah. I think this is 17 laps to go this time through. Based on our lap estimation, we've completed, as soon as Tomo comes on through, we will have completed 24 of an estimated 41. However, with the AM drivers in the car, that might extend the race by a lap or two, and then you know.
Exactly.
Again, this is very complicated stuff. I'm not confident that these drivers are running through these scenarios while driving around here in a 155 lap. So I'm hoping that they did this before the race and not trying to figure it out now. Here he comes.
There he comes.
Tomo will hit pit lane in the Team Valvoline car, turn the car on over to his co-driver.
It's going to be about the gap. Ooh, actually.
So now, where does Andrew... So the pit deltas have been about 50 seconds. And Andrew Kessel is about 45 back right now.
Yeah.
This is going to be close.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll have to see when Dennis Barrett gets into the car and rolls on track. It could be very, very close between those two drivers.
Kessel spent 46 seconds on pit lane. Dennis Barrett is in the car.
Yeah, in about 10 seconds, he's going to launch and leave out of pit lane. Be really close. Here comes Kessel onto the front straight.
Barrett leaving the box.
Wait till you exchange here. I think Kessel's about to come on by. Here he goes.
Past the lead. There goes Andrew Kessel by Dennis Barrett. And a couple of cars going on through. That's the 44 and 72. They are in a battle for position. That's Jonathan Murchison. And it's like that Daniel Cross is going to run a little bit wide there in turn one.
Yeah, looks like Cross went off in turn one. And with him...
Francois Brou is in the French Connection car. Changing over from Greg O'Beatty, and Mark Labance has jumped in the Autocrossers Anonymous machine. And Alessandrini's just gone by. So, now that everything's kind of cycled on through, we kind of get a general idea of where Alessandrini's going to be in comparison to Sly Stafford, Dennis Barrett, and Andrew Kessel. He's 31 seconds back from the race lead. He's going to have 30 minutes to get there. That's a second a lap. I think that he's capable of that, but that's a tall ask to average a second a lap faster.
No, he's going to have to do more than that. He's going to have to do 2 seconds a lap faster.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because
I'm sorry, you're right.
2 seconds a lap, and that's with the traffic. That is a very tall order.
This is why I let you do
Interesting
the math.
to note that. Yeah, interesting to note, we still do have a couple of drivers that have not brought, appears that they haven't brought cars down the pit lane yet. William Teller in the PMF Motorsports number 91 Cayman. Looks like he is still out on his stint. He's running lap 25 right now. And we had one other driver out as well, and it looks like that car is now down the pit lane, or may have just come, Chris Hebert.
Team Craftsman in, and I'm not sure. I talked with Dave Fitzgerald earlier. I know that he was just planning on running this for fun, so maybe he's deciding to take a more administrative role and let Teller finish out the race, but I'm not exactly sure what the plans are there. So now, battle for the lead, it's Andrew Kessel. Dennis Barrett is 4 seconds back. Really curious to see what the lap times are going to be once we get a couple clean laps in. Where Alessandrini is. He's already gained 3 seconds. No, I lied. Not sure he's actually gained anything. I think he lost a little bit of time here. So gotta wait a lap or two to let everything kind of cycle through before we kind of get an idea of the pace of these drivers. This is gonna come down to the wire, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but I don't. Sorry, I don't think for Alessandrino, I think he's gonna be getting a shot at the lead. Actually, last time through, it was a 157.4 for Andrew Kessel in the 23. For Alessandrini, it was a 156.2, which is a solid lap. But again, he needs to be clicking by laps a lot faster to catch up for the lead.
So here's my thing. Okay, I'm playing devil's advocate just because I can, because it makes you go crazy. We saw earlier that Tom O'Gorman's times were in the and Ken Halseal for that matter, were in the 155s, low to mid 155s. Halseal's best time was a 155.0. Alessandrini is as good as Halseal and Tom O'Gorman. He can run consistent mid 155s. If a 157.4 is all Kessel's got, it's going to be a lot closer than we think. If Kessel picks up the pace into the mid-56s once the tires get warm, then it's going to be a bit tricky for Alessandrini.
I think
exactly.
I think the big decider really between both these guys, really the over portion, is going to be, you know, going through the lap traffic, not only the MX-5s, but also the slower Porsches as well, and trying to find the way in through. So now William Tulloch finally going to come into his stall and overshoots a bit. Sort of.
He'll back it up and get into it this time. Check in on 8th place. This is a fight. David Stern and Paul Darling. And Darling's another driver we haven't really talked about because the team was kind of mired in the bottom half of the top 10. Here he goes into 8th place now, and it's going to be a little while before he catches Francois Brou in 7th. But this could be a top 5 running car by the end of this.
Yeah, it really depends on how he can work through traffic. But Darling, a solid driver in one of the cars I was looking at in this class, so he might be able to climb up. Just going to need a little bit of luck on his side.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Brou is running, but a couple of the drivers right ahead, both Charlie Abel and Mark Labanitz running 5th and 6th respectively, are almost a full between 7 and 10 seconds off of Darling's pace currently. So definitely an opportunity for Darling to start moving up through the field.
Checking in on our MX-5 category cars, there's Jake King, who's currently your race leader. Kevin Zhu is 11.3 seconds back. He had an off last lap that put him down to a 2:15.1, lost 3 seconds on that lap alone. So Zhu getting up to speed here, but that lead no longer as close as it was before they came into pit lane. 8th place is the closest fight in MX-5. It's Charles Foley in the number 63, and Chris Hebert in the 617, right there behind him, 6/10 back.
Yeah, and Hebert just got on track, so I'm sure he's still trying to get his sea legs underneath him, and hopefully be able to pick up the pace a little bit as we move over now to Sly Stafford, and there's DJ Alessandrini currently running 3rd.
I just went on by. That was a pass for position. And last time by, it was only a 57.2 for Alessandrini. That ain't going to do it. So I'm surprised that the pace hasn't picked up a little bit, but he's going to get comfortable with this car and be faster.
Yeah. I think the part of the problem, I think, is really, you know, the guys in the Halseal and O'Gorman, they're able to really stretch their legs in the opening laps of the race because they didn't have to deal with traffic for a good 5 laps or so. For Alessandrini, he's going to have to be constantly working through the traffic, and I think it's going to prevent him from getting in some solid laps. So it looks like he's got some clean track to work with him up ahead for now. As we look back at the 136, Jake and Bake Racing, that's Robert Porter now in the car.
And David Stern and Chris Lapras right behind. This is a 3-way battle for 9th class, and it's getting real tight with some MX-5s. That's going to get real dicey into turn 4. Oh, man.
You see I think the rump bump cars still having issues there.
There they go! They're all piling up at the bottom of the S's. The 26 car around, that's Sean Cromwell. And Robert Porter spins as well, and up and over. Goes Cromwell right in the middle of the track, too. Let's go back and see how that all started.
That's really unfortunate.
Just one of those situations.
Coming through left hook here, and as they come through and make their way into 5, Cromwell comes over and gets the tap.
Right here is where the car gets turned over. He turns to go back around, and right there just
drives right up and over.
And it's got that low nose that's just going to turn him up and over, and that's not the way you want to be.
It's unfortunate for Cromwell. Is running really well inside the top 5.
And back up to 9th place. The battle, these Caymans still fighting. It's David Stern and Chris Lapras. They've gotten through that. Here they sit, 9th and 10th.
Look for the pass for Lapras, trying to get on by Stern, but Stern's still going to hold the spot as they work through the final sector. So looking up at the times. Barrett's been losing time to Kessel. Kessel's been expanding his lead slowly but surely. It's now up to 6.5 seconds between first and second in the leading class.
Also noticed that Nick Babin, who's doing the race control, we want to thank him for doing that. I haven't even noticed this, but there's been a couple penalties throughout the race so far. The last one was about 20 minutes ago for the 27 car, which was for avoidable contact. And that 27 car was Paul Gibson, so that car is out of the race now. But it was a stop-and-go penalty applied there. But thanks to Nick for utilizing that. I just had it way over there. I should have it over here, which I'm going to actually do when next time we go to replay on Dragon. We get the monitor so we get a better look. There is the 544. I want to say. I think 514.
That was the 93. Yeah, I think that was the
Jameson
514 car. Yep.
Cars to car, and like he might have just gone around in the braking zone, had the car kind of unsettled, and already.
You're seeing
Yep.
you're seeing a couple of guys struggle in both classes through turn 3, NASCAR bend.
Slippery over there, that's for sure. So, El Centerini, I'm surprised, has not gained at all what I would have expected him to gain. He's still 30 seconds back. I'll make it 29.9 seconds back from the race lead. So Andrew Kessel sitting in a great spot right now with teammates with Ken House-Seal, who put in the work earlier in this race. I'm really liking this 23 car.
Yeah, and that last time by Alessandrini, almost 3/10 off of Kessel's time. So Kessel really putting in good laps and holding his own against Alessandrini.
Really doing well as he heads down the hill through South Bend into turn 11. There's the gap to the lead. Not there. It's actually a little bit farther than that. There is Dennis Barrett at the top of the hill.
And then between Barrett and Alessandrini, you have to wait a lot longer.
I'm not even going to wait that long. I just want to skip over to him. There's DJ still heading up the hill. 21 seconds back from Dennis Barrett. I'm not even sure that he'll catch Barrett.
No. He's catching Barrett out of second a lot, but even for that, catch him to second, he's going to have to hope that Barrett has an off somewhere and makes a mistake.
All right, let's check back in. MX-5s, Jake King, Kevin Zhu, 16 seconds. This gap has done nothing but expand, so no changes here. As we work our way to the final 20 minutes of this one, Greg. So we've seen some pretty solid racing so far. I think we kind of expected this to accordion together more than it is, though. So now the rest of the race is just clicking off laps.
Yeah, I would have expected at this point that that some of the gaps and the leads that some of our pros had put in at the beginning of the race might have started to slide away as the changes were made, and we'd start to see the field really start to close up again, and we just haven't seen it at this point still. But I think probably the good thing there is that we are seeing some consistent driving from the AM drivers here. As
it's Charlie
that's
Abel.
a ride.
Oh, he's gonna tag Darling, and Darling just sneaks through.
He got lucky there.
That was extraordinary.
Yeah, that was amazing, amazing luck by Darling there. Let's take a look at it again.
Holy cow!
Here as they go into 10A. Right underneath, it looks like he might have just scraped the rear bumper there as they set up for Oak Tree.
Another look at it. Just caught in the dirt.
The wheels, yeah. And again, not uncommon coming out of South Bend. You turn in just a little bit early, or you come out of the S's maybe with the car pushed over a little bit too much driver's left, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to drop a wheel coming off the exit of South Bend.
Darling,
nice drift though.
Just snuck through there. Was a nice drift for Charlie. Well, certainly not what he wanted to be doing at that particular moment in time.
And here comes Francois Breu in the 69. He's trying to catch up. He actually lost, I think, a position to Darling last lap, or the lap prior to this, I should say. And now here he comes on the outside, having a look into turn 1, deep in the brakes.
Whoa, he's going to dive under in the dirt. Not going to make it.
Nah, there's no way you can make that stick. There you go.
And that's what I was talking about earlier before the race started, is that you have to be careful when you get on the brakes. These things can be hard to turn, especially down in turn 1.
And that was a very, very late time to attempt to pass there. I think he made the decision. I guess the question is, did he make the decision to move to the inside because he thought he was going to end up rear-ending the driver ahead, and he just thought he'd be able to get by, or
I want to go on board and just
thought he was going to make the pass.
See if he got into the ABS when he jerks the wheel to the right, and that might have caused him to slide. I'm not totally convinced it was intentional here. Right here, he's going to cross over and hit the brakes caught the grass. You can hear him actually get the grass of the left rear tires. That was definitely not intentional. Just couldn't get the car stopped once he clipped the left side of the grass there. So he'll continue down in 9th place, but a scary moment there for a couple of drivers. 18 minutes in this race left. The lead has expanded to 9.6 seconds for Andrew Kessel. Continues to put in very consistent laps. Dennis Barrett, though, was about 4/10 quicker last time by. And to put in 158.1, which was 4/10 quicker than Kessel. Maybe we'll see if Barrett can start to close this gap down a little bit.
Yeah, I think Kessel was slowed a little bit by some traffic he was trying to work on, but he's been getting consistently in the mid 57s when he's had some clean track. Now it looks like after he just got past MX5, he's got some to work with. A little bit of a redirection through Oak Tree.
Yeah, and take a look at the track conditions. When we started this race, it was about 10 degrees cooler as the sun has come out throughout the day. So, Greg, that's going to change the handling of the cars. The rubber is kind of baked into the track a little bit, so that's going to help the grip levels, but only on the racing line. If you get offline like we just saw Kessel do, that track's going to be hot and slick, and you're going to go for a slide.
Hot and slick, exactly. I was to say it'll definitely affect people that have problems under braking going down into turn 1, and also setting up over by NASCAR as well. If you end up turning in a little bit early there and get pushed wide on exit, it could definitely be a problem there, and you go for a long ride through the grass up towards left hook.
Now the kind of the rubber that's kind of baked into the track in some of the heavier corners. There's turn 5, turn 4. You can see the line forming, and offline you're going to get really slippery, slidey. You get out of the rubbered-in groove there. So see if that plays in. It's actually not as dark as I would have thought it would be, Finian. We usually see this kind of rubber in more with this many cars, but it's like today it's not taking rubber quite as much as you would think. How about Charlie Abel, Christopher Lapras? This is for 7th and about 7/10 of a second between them.
Great corner for Lapras in a huge amount of time. Here comes an Abel, now going to have a look up the inside as they head towards Oak Tree.
Oh, contact! And around goes Abel.
Wait a minute, that was a little bit on Abel coming. He cut Lapras off as they were braking into the turn.
See, what was Lapras established alongside, though, I guess is the real question.
I don't think he was.
I don't think so either.
No.
That was me. That was on Lapras a little bit more. Got to be up alongside. I don't think there was overlap before they got to the corner. Here's another look, and we'll see if that is a penalty here. But up the inside, yeah, just not. I don't think there was a little bit of netcode there. I don't think he meant to get in there, but sent around Abel. He drops to 10th in class now, so that's some work to do. Mark LeMans up to 5th place in this number 33 that he shared with, I believe that was Schickel in that car earlier, but right behind him you see Paul Darling closing in, running very quick laps. One of the quickest cars on track right now, actually.
Yeah, that last time by ran a 157, and that is out of the top 15, or top 15 cars. That's the fastest of all of the Porsche Caymans on track currently, at least for the last lap. But Darling running a pretty good race here as he's trying to make his way back up through the field.
Has LeMans in his sights now as he clobbers the curves down at the bottom of the S's here before you head onto the bridge and head to the upper S's. Maybe going to set up a pass into Oak Tree or even into Roller Coaster here, Finney. This is a sketcy spot to make a pass. You're going to want to wait.
Yeah, especially considering the pace that he's got over the 33 of LeMans. I think he's just going to sit in behind and wait for a prime opportunity to pass through South Bend and now towards Oak Tree.
Yeah, if you can get a run and maybe very much like the move that we saw just a moment ago, but again, not quite close enough. So we'll see if he can get the good run out of Oak Tree. And you can see there, the number 33 car actually pushed wide on entrance to Oak Tree, did not get a good run out. And so we see Darling now right on the bumper as he comes down the back straight heading towards Madison Avenue.
Drag racing up the back straight. You see Darling on the left side of the screen right behind the ticker peeking out. He'll have the spot. Move his way up into 5th place in category. So pass there for Darling. He's on through. Checking in on DJ Alessandrini. He has started. Wow, there you go. 155.988. He's found his stride now, but it's far too late now.
Yeah, I was going to say, he got some open track to work with, so now putting in some really solid times. The fastest time for this car. at this point in the race.
Yeah, by about a second and a half, too, by not any insignificant margin.
Yeah, so catching up, making some decent time on Barrett. He may be able to get up to Barrett. Again, for the lead, it's going to be a lot harder as there's a 12.5-second gap between Kessel and Barrett for first and second.
Well, still battles on track, though, Greg, so the possibility that Kessel finds himself in traffic or gets himself into trouble is still there.
Yeah, without a doubt. Things have not played out yet, although there are a lot of very long open gaps here on this 3.27-mile course. Again, yeah, Kessel really has to be careful, keep his head down, and watch out for what's going on ahead of him to stay out of trouble. And if he can, I think he's got a real good chance here. As you mentioned, he is now just about 12 seconds up on Dennis Barrett.
Dennis Barrett for the Team Valvoline team that was partnered with Tom O'Gorman stayed out to the very end of their window, 12 seconds back from 23 to sign house here in the delivery car. Scott Merker, we haven't talked about him yet today, in the Radino Racing team in 11th, and Shake and Bake Racing with Robert Porter in behind. Guys going for 11th spot as they head through state. You mentioned, Greg, how many gaps are out of the racetrack. It's really just rhythm time now. You're just trying to hit your marks and really not get yourself off course. I mean, now's the time that everyone's spread out. Everyone's not, maybe, I don't want to say racing any less hard, but there's not as many groups of cars that you have to negotiate your way through as you see Parker go off a little bit there himself.
Yeah, but you always have to be aware of those issues that may happen ahead of you, just as we saw there. If you were the trailing car, you're now going to set up and see if you can carry speed out of Oak Tree and make the pass here, and that is exactly what the number, I guess it's the number 98 car looks like.
136 is 136. The yellow car, and the 13 is the pink car.
See, it sounds just like the 98. Yeah.
Well, I think
I was close.
It's disorienting because the 136 has a number on the hood that's not matched with the actual car numbers.
Yeah.
Although that number is, I think, 911. So that's closer.
Yeah. Thanks for making me look good. Anyway.
We have the scoring right in front of us, so I don't blame you for that. So, all right. Hey, 11 minutes to go. We're getting down to the end of this thing.
Yeah, Barrett had a pretty poor last lap, a 2-minute lap for him.
2 minutes, yeah.
So he's struggling quite a bit. That's allowed Alice Green to make up 3 seconds on last lap alone, so definitely on track to catch up to the 194 here. Looking at a potential battle for second brewing as Alice Green is putting in some really solid laps now.
156.8. It's still not. Again, I think that the track warming up has really put a damper on the lap times that you are capable of running. The surface continuing to climb. I think that's why we're not seeing consistent 155s getting run every single lap like we saw earlier.
156 flat for Alice Green, so on pace with his best.
Paul Darling has had an issue down at Oak Tree. This is the first time I think we've actually seen an incident down here, other than a couple other spins. But
he threw it way hard.
I didn't actually have him.
Yeah, it looks like he just came in hard and put the car off to the outside. Let's take a look here as he gets by one of the slower MX-5 cars.
Yeah, he actually had a connectivity issue when I went down there to look at it, so we don't have the full replay of that, just the start and the end of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looked like he just threw it in there hard, so unfortunately he's going to drop back to 6th. Going to have to try to work the catch back up to Labantu, who's 3 seconds out of him.
Charlie Abel ran a 2:02 last time, so he had an off there. Drops to 11 behind Scott Merger. Robert Porter closing back up. Cars he was fighting with a few laps ago.
We're actually the last car on the lead lap. He's got Kessel right in behind there. There you go. There he is in that black and blue machine.
See, in many ways, this actually does mirror the charge of the Headlight Brigade enduro race, because this is about the witching hour here, where drivers start as they've been sitting behind the wheel now for 20-25 minutes. They start to get a little complacent. They start to get a little tired. Their minds start to wander. They're figuring out what they're going to be doing on a Saturday morning or a Saturday afternoon, and they forget what turns and what cars are right up ahead of them, and they start to get a little sloppy.
Where's the Colin Daner car? You can get the wand out of that thing and maybe get rid of the smell. There's a spin right in front of the leader. No, they saved it, but that car was way sideways in front. As you see, Kessel will go on through a couple lap cars. right in front of them, that is the battle for 11th in class, and they're also fighting to stay in the lead lap. Abel in the black car and Porter in the yellow one.
Gonna be a little tough as they work through the section. Ooh, 37 catches the grass on Enchi. That's slowing him up quite a bit. Here comes Porter. I don't know if he's gonna potentially be able to make a move before they get to the S's.
It might have happened a little bit too far back in Snake for him to be able to make a good run here, but you could see him getting a little defensive on the way into the S's there.
Trying to keep it nice and tidy as they come over the crest.
You're able to hear a little bit the 37 sliding through the S's, at least the exit that cost him some time. Here comes Porter back. Up to the inside.
A lot better of it. Now they're behind an MX-5, gonna slow up. Abel a little bit.
Right underneath the MX-5.
7.5 minutes to go, and they work their way by. Here comes Kessel, the race leader behind him.
Kessel at this point, he's got a 16-second gap back to Dennis Barrett. Whoa! They crashed up ahead on the straightaway.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Kessel's going to want to sit back and wait and let these guys even make their way down through the roller coaster, but they're not even going to make it that far.
No, that was... this track is narrow, but I think we saw it kind of rear its ugly head here on the straightaway. Supposed to be going perfectly straight. Let's see who's the one that deviated. I think Abel crowds, and I think...
and he comes back over.
Yep, that's on the lead car there. Change your line once, but twice is on you at that point. Right there, moves over left, then moves back to the right, and that's, I'd be surprised we don't see a penalty for that. Again, that being, I would consider that a block, but let's right on board with the race leader.
I was going to say, with about 6 minutes left, I don't think the penalty is going to do
probably not
do much good.
Here's a look from on board the race leader. This is a scary moment. He lifts. And then throttles back up and then goes, uh-oh, no, brakes. And there goes the car.
He was waiting to see the car come flying back across the screen, then finally can get back on his way.
All right, so 6 minutes to go in this race. Let's check back in with our MX-5 field, because we haven't really shown anybody there in a while. There's just not a whole lot going on, but Andrew Chow back in 4th place looks like Ryan Maloney all over him. For the lead, it's been pretty much game over.
And the gap's actually expanded between Jake King and Kevin Zhu to 23 seconds between them. So it's just not been ever since we saw that mistake from Chow earlier in that 243 car, they've not been able to recover.
This is the closest battle in the MX-5 field. I believe the first one we've had in quite a while.
It doesn't help the 29 is having severe issues.
Yeah, again, I'm not convinced that this is on their end, but I'm sure. Could be, I think so, as they head up the hill. Can't be the only one experiencing it. Because if it was us, it'd be everybody. But it's not. So 5 minutes left as these two continue to fight. Well, our second place battle in Cayman's has come down to a 2.6 second. They get 2.5 second group. So I think Alessandro might be able to wrestle second place away in these last couple of laps. Tango on corner exit. Maloney gets a good solid run. A little bit of contact there.
Oof.
Push and shove.
Yeah, a little contact.
Bump draft. Take and bake.
Well, that's another team, I think.
Yeah, it's another team, another class button.
And he's making up some ground now as they go past Madison Avenue, and now they're side by side heading up towards the little bend over at 13. Let's see if he can clear him.
And he does.
He does.
Mark LeBance and Paul Darling, these guys are fighting for 5th in class. Darling dropped down the order because he was 5th earlier.
Yeah, and had that mistake heading into this turn right here. And dropped back in line with 33. Now trying to take it back. Also up for 2nd place in the same class in GT4. A battle between Dennis Barrett and DJ Alessandrini.
DJ is now 19 seconds back from Andrew Kessel, which at the beginning of the run would have been possible to catch if he had been clicking off the laps that he is now earlier. But Kessel's been on a great pace. Mid-57s is super solid. You see Paul Darling go on by LeBance at the top of roller coaster. But I've been impressed with Dennis Barrett as well. Kept it on track and also clicking off some pretty solid laps. And all three of these cars were just the class and field as a whole today, and that's why they're up front. But the hold up here through the S's.
Yeah, I really think.
Yeah, and that's gonna be just what Alessandrini needs, because you can see him now making the run here through South Bend, and he's all over the back of Dennis Barrett as they start to roll down the hill.
Here he comes to the inside. This is for 2nd. And real tight there, DJ has to back out.
Yeah, you can see DJ playing with the brakes there with some really nice brake application there to keep off the back of Dennis Barrett as they make their way out of Oak Tree now.
Side by side for both these guys into the corner.
Not the camera I wanted. I had one set up for the right rear window, but didn't find it.
Ooh, and very tight as they come up, and Al Sadrini gives Barrett just enough room as they come down, and let's see if Barrett can hold on here on the outside. This is one of those slip places in the roller coaster as the track gets heated up, and he does fine, but has to concede the position in second place over to DJ Al Sadrini.
Al Sadrini is now 15 seconds back. Oh, a slow lap for Andrew Kessel. Maybe got caught behind some traffic, but that was about 8 seconds off pace. Maybe more like 6.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think at this point, I think he's just taking it really easy because they've only got 2 laps to go now, according to our estimates, and I think he's got 14 seconds to play with. Might as well take it easy here, just bring it on home.
There's Francois Brou and David Stern. This is for 8th in Cayman.
And you can see Brou definitely trying to protect that position, driving all the way down the center of the track, coming out of Snake and up to the S's.
Great run for the 19 car, though, down towards Oak Tree.
Switching lanes, trying to get a line. Stern's trying to everything he can do to get a line on Brou. There they come onto the straightaway here. This is going to be a great chance for him to get a draft and a run.
They'll have at least a draft. Probably a run. Coming to the white flag next time by for the race leaders. Here comes Stern on Brou for 8th. Has to back out. Driver on the left really kind of has the advantage here because the right-hand corner isn't as important as the next couple of corners, which are all lefts, which gives that left side driver a bit of an advantage. As we come on through, the race leader is behind them, not too far back, but Andrew Kessel will be coming back to take the white flag this time through. And again, checking back in with MX-5, no challenges really going on in that class. They'll stay on the ET4 as Charlie Abel goes off again.
Struggling in this 37 car. It's been downhill for quite a bit. You're talking, Greg, about the witching hour. It's definitely struck for the 37 of Abel.
Yeah, he's had some trouble the last couple of minutes here, and I'm sure he's, you know, I've been in some of these long races and had the last stint, and you're just waiting and waiting and waiting for that checkered flag to fly. And I think Abel's probably in that position right now.
White flag for Andrew Kessel, and the sign how sealed and delivered, number 23. DJ Alessandrini is 14 seconds back and flashing the lights at some lap traffic. And I'm sure DJ still thinks he can win this race. That's how DJ is. He thinks he can make it up. He'll dive and do something crazy. But Francois Brou and David Stern, they're fighting as they head up the hill. They still have a full, well, almost 2 laps left.
Yeah, they got a lap and a half. The leader's still not gone by.
You can see Brou again taking that defensive line, heading down towards the S's. Let's see now if Stern doesn't have to correct halfway down here going into Oak Tree as he did last lap, but looks like he's going to get a better run. But yeah, he had to really adjust his line going through Oak Tree there, and you could see the rear end step out on the car and just got a horrible run. And Francois Brou able to stretch things out just a little bit exactly when he needed it on the back straight.
Checking back in, Charles Boley and Marcus Pine in the 8th and 9th place in GMX5. They are still battling for position. They'll be on their white flag lap as the leader has already gone by them. We'll check back in with them, but for Andrew Kessel, an incredibly impressive run for the number 23. It was Ken Alseal that put in the work earlier, fan.
Yeah, I was going to say, really, for this team in general, just no mistakes out of them. We saw with the 61 car, Waxman had some trouble early on in the race, and also the 194, Gorm made some mistakes earlier, but between the 23 with Alseal and Kessel, no mistakes out of them, consistent drive.
The check is going to go to Ken Alseal and Andrew Kessel. Sign Alseal delivered. Then they'll deliver a race victory today in the Washington, D.C. region SCCA iRacing League. 78 minutes of VIR, your Cayman class winners. And Jake King coming on through, and I think he's already working his way through, and he's already... Oh, no, he still has a whole lap left to go.
No, he has one more lap.
And second place is done, I think.
Yeah.
So he gets to just score on all by himself.
Yeah, Kevin Zhu coming out of Hog Pen right now. He's going to take second. And
funny how that works.
Yeah.
But other podium drivers in the Caymans, DJ Alessandrini comes home in second place in the No Megaphone Team car. Team Valvoline, Tom O'Gorman, Dennis Barrett, they come home third. Sly Stafford will bring the TT Racing car in fourth. And Paul Darling will bring the 155 car in fifth, providing he gets to the end of this lap with no issues. And again, for Jake King, this is going to be a long time before he gets back around, but he has already claimed the victory. Second place has already finished the race. So Jake King and the King Brothers Racing team, Greg, they did a spectacular job all day. Just drove away, not a scratch on that car either.
No, very clean racing from both Jake and from Max. And Max had a great battle going on for the first half of the race with I guess it was with the 243 car, and unfortunately when the 243 fell off, that pretty much opened things up for the King brothers, and Jake's had a flawless run here for the second stint.
Mark Levant's going to come home in sixth place in the Autocross Anonymous car. Christopher Lapras brings Team ZFG home in seventh. And Francois Brou and David Stern going to come down to the very end here. This is for eighth place across the line. I think Francois Brou is going to get it by a nose, and he will. David Stern right behind. Last car that will finish this race will be Jake King in the 39. Well, the champagne has already been sprayed in the Cayman category.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't think Jake's old enough to drink the champagne, so that's probably a good thing if the team has already consumed it down on the pit lane.
There's Alessandrini still completing a cool down lap behind, but there's the last car on the racetrack, and your results on the left-hand side of the screen. We'll bring them up here in just a moment. Kind of run down some of the results. Of course, Andrew Kessel in the signed house seal delivered car. DJ Alessandrini bringing it home in the 61 in second. Barrett, Stafford, Darling, the rest of your top five in the Cayman category, but it was Jake King and the King Brothers Racing car, Finian, that brought home the win over Kevin Zhu and the Zoolander MX-5 Challenge team in second, and Corentin Dubois in the Bielek Motorworks car in third.
Yeah, really solid job, especially got to give props to that 23 car. They did an awesome job. Same thing with the 39 with the King Brothers. Again, also flawless race out of them, just ticking off flat, no mistakes, and that's how they're able to win this race.
So in just a moment, we're going to cut to break just momentarily. We're going to bring you the post-race show. We're going to talk to both race-winning teams, both Andrew Kessel and Ken Hauseal, as well as the King brothers here. As soon as we can get them in and talk to them, we'll have them here for you in just a few minutes. Stay with us. We'll be right back for your interview. Welcome back live to Sim TV in the Washington, D.C. region SCCA iRacing League. We're here now with the King brothers that won in the GMX5 category for tonight's event, and Greg Ginsberg is standing by with them.
Yeah, hi, we've got Max and Jake from, is it Northern New Jersey region or South Jersey region?
South Jersey region.
South Jersey region, that's what I thought. Of course, now the last time I talked to Max and Jake, they were coming down, finished an esports super tour race side by side at Sebring. This time they are partnered up and teamed up, and as Kyle mentioned, they came home with the win here. What was your guys' strategy going in as far as when to make driver changes, and did you I guess Max, once the 243 car had that off, I guess things were pretty much open and clear for you guys.
Yeah, the strategy was pretty much fill it up, see how far we can go, drive flat out, and we had a good battle there at the 243 car for the entire stint until I came in the pits. We were nose to bumper, so that was a lot of fun. There was also a couple instances where there were some close calls, some Porsches, but really not too bad. And then we give it to Jake to finish out the race, and we managed to pass him in the pits. I don't know if I pulled in the pit stop a little bit faster or what, but we were able to pick up a really good pit stop.
Yeah, that was excellent. So, Jake, what was it like out there? It looked like things started to spread out just a little bit for that last half of the race, and obviously you did not have a lot of a lot of pressure as that 243 car had dropped off. How was your stint?
Yeah, exactly. Max had a lot of hard work in that first stint, battling for a position, but once we got that nice gap after the pit stop, it was like smooth sailing. Just be consistent, keep it on the track, and watch out for those Porsches. And we did that, and we came out to win, which is nice.
Excellent. Well, great job, guys, and hopefully we'll see you, and we'll talk a little bit more about it, but hopefully we'll see you on the Esports Super Tour from Watkins Glen tomorrow night.
Absolutely, we'll be there. We'll be rocking our paint schemes, and hopefully we'll kick some butt. We'll see you there.
Alrighty, excellent.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, we're going to move on now to our race winners in the GT4 category. It was Ken Auseal and Andrew Kessel that got the job done tonight. And Ken, you fired off some incredible laps and just tried to drive away the best you could in that first stint. Walk us through your night in that number 23 signed, house sealed, and delivered car.
Yeah, I gotta thank Kessel for the awesome team name. That was the first first half of my stint was fantastic with Tom Layton and Tom O'Gorman. That was a lot of fun. And then Tom had some internet connection issues there, and I backed off a little, and then he self-spun and essentially just cruised around and hand the car over in one piece to Andrew. That was a lot of fun, and he brought it home nice and safe, and he even got less incident points than I did. So good night.
This racetrack is very narrow, especially in some of the higher speed sections. How was the lap traffic that first run through when you caught the MX-5 field?
I'll say it was hectic. I was glad Tom was in the front because he has a lot of experience with traffic. I'll fully admit I'm not the greatest with patience and whatnot and timing passes. So it was nice to have somebody in the front to, I'll say, part the seat.
Ken, congratulations, a race win for your team, and we're going to talk to Andrew Kessel now. Andrew, you got out there, and all you had to do really is hang on to that lead and not give it up, and you did just that, smooth and quick as well. Some really quick laps there towards the end. Walk us through your second half of the race and your stint trying to drive away from Dennis Barrett and DJ Alessandrini. Lost Kessel. I'm not sure if he's having a microphone. We'll try again. Hey, Andrew, you got a copy there? Struggling. All right, well, I guess in that case, Ken, thanks for talking. I think we're going to move on to maybe our second place finishers here. Ken, thanks for chatting. We'll see you later.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Fun race.
Bring in Ito Waxman and DJ Alessandrini, who finished second in the GT4 category. And Ito didn't start off, there was a couple incidents here and there, but you got your feet underneath you, and you drove it in and gave DJ something to work with there. Walk us through your first part of the stint there in that number 61.
I was happy to. I have a lot of trouble with the first couple laps in the GT4 because it feels really inconsistent sometimes. So I just took it easy without losing track position as best as I could. And about 3 or 4 laps in, the car got loose on me in NASCAR, and I just tried my best to recover it and not hit the tire wall because it's really easy if you go off in NASCAR and the grass is real slippery. And lost about 6 seconds, but I'm to claw back the track position over my stint, and then pitted and made a pretty boneheaded mistake that cost us some more time, unfortunately. And I kind of put DJ in a pretty difficult position, but he did a really good job to recover from that. And he helped me a lot, just in terms of practicing for this, really helped with my mental game as well as the driving. So I really got to thank him for helping me out.
DJ, you got in the car and had a sizable gap to make up, and you made up about half of it. Ended up finishing about, for like 2/3 of it. Finished 12 seconds behind Andrew Kessel. Walk us through your part of the race, and it seemed like it took you a little bit while to get up to pace. Was it traffic out there? Was it the track conditions? What was going on out there in that first part of that second stint?
First off, Ito did a great job. The way the car snapped and the way he gathered it up for it to not go in the wall was really impressive, and he just did a great job just delivering the car into the pits with no scratches on it, which is the number one job in a team race. So kudos to Ito for that. Ken and Kessel were Ken and Kessel, they were just a little too fast. So maybe we'll get them next time. Hopefully they do another event like this. But when I first came out of the pits, it's just I was dealing with a lot of traffic and just trying to settle in, and I was catching Miatas in weird spots. I wasn't fully up to speed on like the flow of what their behavior was, so I was just playing it a little safe with some of the Miatas. I didn't want to grab one of those penalties that I saw your name thrown out.
All right, DJ. Hey, thanks for talking to us. Congratulations. A podium result for No Megaphones Needed, the 61 car. P2. Thanks, DJ.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Move on now. I think we're going to talk to our second place finishers in the GMX5 category. It was Kevin Zhu and Andrew Chow that did the job tonight, and we'll see if we can pull in Andrew Chow to have a little chat. Hey, Andrew, you got a copy?
You got the wrong Chow, Kyle.
Oh.
Chow.
Thank you. Yeah. He's already here.
There he is.
I was looking at the green room. I was looking for a Chow. But hey, we forgot the right Chow now. Hey, Tony, how was the first part of that race? Looked like things went pretty smooth. You had a lot of fun up there with Max King there. Walk us through your stint.
Yeah, it was a great race between me and him. We were definitely playing around, trying to see each other's weaknesses. I definitely had fun. It was really clean, and I don't think I touched this car a single time. Probably means I need to push a little harder.
And of course, we had Kevin Zhu take over. And Kevin, it looked like as soon as the driver switch happened, it looked like Jake King was able to get away from you. What did you need to go up there and catch that car? Was it track conditions, traffic, or a combination?
Yeah, so we were trying to be a bit too smart with the strategy, and we thought, oh, the tires, we'll only get like 5 quick laps out of them, so we'll keep them. And then we pulled in the pits and realized the driver change takes longer than changing the tires, and it was over at that point. We just didn't have the pace to keep up.
Guys, for both of you, it was a really solid run there. Second place in the Zoolander MX-5 Challenge team. And who came up with the name for that team? Because that's a good one.
I think it was a combination of me and Kevin. We both came up with it together. I kind of wanted to play around with our names just because, Asian names typically have some, cool little sounds in them. So I thought I could play around with it and make something cool with it. And then Kevin and I thought this was a good name to go with.
That's really cool, guys. Hey, congratulations. Second place for you guys in GMX5. Look forward to seeing you around again.
Thanks. Kyle.
I think that's going to be it. We got Tom and Dennis waiting, but I think we got to get off air here. We've been live for about 2 hours and 15 minutes, so time to wrap things up here. Also note that Chad Griffith had to run the entire race, Greg, because his teammate never showed up. So that was a long day for Griffith.
Yeah, that's a very long race for Mr. Griffith. Oh, wow.
Well, that's going to wrap things up here. Again, tomorrow night, Greg, there's a whole lot of more stuff going on SCCA related. Tell me about what's going on tomorrow for the Hoosier SCCA.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a big night planned tomorrow night starting at 5 p.m. You can find it on the Sports Car Club of America YouTube challenge, and it is the Valvoline Pro-Am 50, which once that is complete will lead into the Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Esports Super Tour. Now, this Valvoline Pro-Am, we're going to have a number of the Valvoline racers, and that is also made up of a number of NASCAR Hendricks Motorsports drivers. We're going to have 7-time NASCAR champ Jimmy Johnson driving with us. We're going to have the 14 NASCAR Infinity Series champ and 2016 NASCAR Cup Rookie of the Year Chase Elliott. He, of course, is the son of Hall of Famer Bill Elliott. We're going to have the 2017 NASCAR Xfinity champion and he's also been the Rookie of the Year in all three major NASCAR series, William Byron. We're going to have Alex Bowman, who started off the year really well this year, actually took the win at Auto Club Speedway, and that's just part of it. We've got three-time NASCAR champ Jeff Gordon's crew chief Ray Evernham, and of course he's the current host of Americana on the Velocity Channel, and we have a number of up-and-coming e-sports racers that are all sponsored by Valvoline, and that also includes Tom O'Gorman, who is out here racing tonight. They're going to be racing against 22 of the SCCA's best in a race, and again, this all starts at 5 p.m. tomorrow night. You can get all of the action on the Sports Car Club of America YouTube channel, so definitely go there. You can set a reminder for the race, and that, of course, is actually 5 o'clock Eastern time. I feel we gotta say that.
Absolutely. So SimTV will be producing that event tomorrow afternoon, so make sure you don't miss that one. And we want to thank, of course, you, Greg, for jumping on board tonight with us, and Finian for creating the cameras and getting us all set up here tonight, and co-commentating as well. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon for the 5 p.m. Hoosier SCCA Esports Super Tour. And that'll be it for us tonight. So thanks again to the Washington, D.C. Region SCCA iRacing League and Kaluna Tierboff and Dave Fitzgerald for setting all of this up. And again, if you're watching on SimTV and you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. If you're watching on the DC SCCA Facebook page, make sure you drop a like to watch more. We got more of these events coming up this season. Thanks so much, and we'll see you later. Have a wonderful night.
In the heart of Virginia, there's a stretch of pavement that has ingrained itself in American racing history. Built in 1957 with just a bulldozer and a plot of land, Virginia International Raceway has become an icon. Over the years since its reopening in 2000, it has hosted IMSA, the American Le Mans Series, NASCAR, SCCA, and Champ Car races. Legends have raced there, including Roger Penske, Mark Donohue, Richard Petty, Hurley Haywood, Dan Gurney, and more. Between turns 11 and 12 stood a defining feature, an old oak tree. This tree stood untouched, shading the south end of the course for decades. For some, Oak Tree became a symbol of VIR and a reminder of how road courses used to be built. They used to be built with the lay of the land, following each contour and moving around obstacles, not through them. Earth may have been moved, but not tarnished. Oak Tree was a lasting memory of when tracks were not just built, they came to be, like the tree. Although Oak Tree no longer stands, nor does Hog Pen turn 17, the corners both still bear the name of what used to exist, and the track stays unchanged the way it was meant to be, with the lay of the land, for the land. Maybe that's why Paul Newman called it heaven on earth.